What is going on, everybody? It is episode 598 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. We have Phil on the show today.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of All That Remains.
That's it? That's it?
Well, I'm also a counter.
I thought you had other...
Well, I mean, you know.
I thought you were a multi-hyphenate
I
king.
am. I'm a failed musician, apparently.
A newly touring.
Yeah, we announced a tour this week. We're going to be on the Destroy Your Enemies tour with Megadeth and Mudvayne. It's going to start. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at allthatremainsonline.com, megadeth.com, or Mudvayne. Official.com. I think it's Mudvayne Official. Yeah.
Maybe like we should just go on tour with you so that you can continue appearing on the show.
There, you know, to be honest with you, it would be super cool to do a PCC show from the show live. Like, have you guys come out for a day and do like filming? I don't know if it would
really be like our audience, like our target demo, but that's
concerts,
fine.
Man, rock stars. Yeah. You never know who's going to be there.
Like, get the RV.
Listen.
The RV.
The RV
studio.
and... Yeah.
Just
take to the road.
Yeah.
Or you could come out to one show for one day and just have people follow us around with cameras and make a YouTube video about it.
That would
like,
be cool.
We could
do that.
We
go
could
do a backstage thing and check out backstage with Phil. You know.
When we did the Lady Ballers premiere, that went well. So that could we could do that. That'd be fun.
I mean, I will know people on the tour. So I'll be able to get us in.
Okay, that's a good thing. We don't have to break
Wayne's
in.
World when he's got the passes and they're showing the pass to everybody.
Ooh, that would be fun. We'll both flash our passes at everyone.
I will get you official ones. The only thing is you can't show the passes on the internet until after the tours because people make copies.
Of them.
Okay.
Yeah. But afterwards you can flash the pass and you can show the stuff.
It's one of Chris Farley's great cameos is in Wayne's World when he plays the guy outside the door.
Oh, yes.
And he's like, he goes, down here, all the way across. It's fantastic.
It's great. So, yeah, tickets go on sale tomorrow. It's from August 2nd until September 28th all over the U.S. So, yeah, come on and watch Megadeth and Mudvayne and All That Remains. It's going to be sick.
All right. We got a bunch of stuff to get into today, guys. But before we do that, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed here yet already. We have passed 110,000 subscribers, so help us continue to grow. Exactly, just like what he just said there. Share these videos with your friends. That is the best way you can help this channel grow, is to share the videos out, get more people to watch these segments and live streams so that they can follow and share the videos with their friends. It's a good thing. Also, remember, all Super Chats, $20 and over. We will do our best to get back on topic right after reading them, but we will read them right then and there. So get those in here. Perhaps you have questions for Phil about going on tour. You might have something to say. So what are we going to get into today? So it turns out that Harvey Weinstein was innocent.
Okay, that was a joke.
Harvey Weinstein.
Disavow.
Harvey Weinstein's verdict was overturned in the state of New York City. He is still going to be in jail.
The city of New York.
Yeah, the city of New York. So of New York State. He is still going to be in jail because of what happened in California. He was already convicted over there with a 16-year sentence, but his verdict was overturned, and they're looking to retry this. So we're going to be talking about that.
New York City wanted to make sure everyone knew that it was the epicenter of clown car justice.
Yes. Yeah, they love that.
Never mind what the garbage that New York's doing to Trump, which, like, Trump, whether you like Trump or not, aside, like, the actual stuff from New York is garbage. There may be other stuff that has legitimacy, fine, but all the New York stuff is garbage. Now they're doing this, letting this guy have another trial. This is ridiculous.
You know what? Now that I think about it, I'm excited to see what Jessica Reed Krause has to say about this.
This should be very interesting.
And she's probably going to go and cover it in person and do the Trump trial coverage at the same time.
It's going to be a 2-for-1.
Yeah, twofer.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Billie Eilish, who somebody should have just taken the microphone away from her in this interview.
It's literally the worst thing ever.
It's so bad.
It's cringy.
It's
cringy.
I mean, we'll get into it, but it's just so, like, it takes self-absorption to just a whole nother level.
It was designed for sound bites. It really, really was. It was designed to be cut up and put into tweets. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about a famous Hollywood producer. I mentioned him yesterday, named David Mamet, who produced Ronin. He was the creator of one of my favorite television shows called The Unit, starring Dennis Haysbert, Max Martini, and Scott Foley. He has called out DEI and is basically garbage, and says that diversity casting is a problem, while also defending his daughter, saying that she was not a nepo baby. She was she got hired on merit. Her filmography, I think, would benefit that. She's been working pretty steadily for a long time. Though I did see that one of her earlier roles wasn't something he produced, so maybe we can call that into question when we talk about it.
Zosiah?
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Zosia?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know. It's very clever.
It's a nepo name.
It's definitely a name that you only get in Hollywood. So we're going to talk about that. Also, Sydney Sweeney is an evil genius who worked very hard to break up Glenn Powell's marriage so that she could market her movie, Anyone But You.
Well, okay, so he wasn't married. He was just engaged. He was engaged to some supermodel, and they broke up in the middle of promo for Anyone But You, and it was basically Sydney Sweeney's fault, and she admitted it.
Yes. So we're going to talk
So
about
that's
that.
so that's real. That's not.
They just did an interview about it.
Well, they're basically
Sydney.
saying that she's like, look, I was we faked the behind the scenes romance stuff for the movie to promote the movie, and I guess his relationship couldn't handle it. So we're going to talk about that.
Okay. So she's saying that it wasn't actually real. It was just faked behind
It's
the
a marketing ploy.
Yeah, it's a
and
marketing
it messed
ploy.
up.
She's an evil genius.
It messed up his relationship.
So we're going to talk about that. Also, there are multiple tweets and stories and videos that prove to you that the Swifties, my friends, they need some padded cells. They need some help.
That includes you, Phil.
That's it. No, he's
You're
not in the cult. This is a whole different thing. So we're going to get into that. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. So go ahead and hit the like button on this video again. And if you guys are ready, we will go ahead and get started. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Let's go.
First things first, in awful food news, Oreo are releasing a limited edition Sour Patch Kid flavored cookie. Sign me up. No, actually,
that was a question, right?
Kellen said that he thinks these could be good. I said, I don't see how this ends up as good. It seems more like some dude just kind of just picked two things randomly and put them together.
Look, I don't care about any of these food crossovers until that Cheez-It Crunchwrap comes out. I don't care about anything else until then.
Is that in the works?
It's supposed to be coming out later this year. I just don't know when.
It actually does sound pretty great, doesn't it?
Right?
Like if they make it right, it sounds like it could be really good.
Yeah.
I realized yesterday, as a complete aside, that Oreo has cornered the market on like candy flavored ice cream. I was looking for M&Ms in ice cream for a gift, and couldn't. It took forever to find they had M&M ice cream sandwiches, but everything else that's ice cream and
Oreo.
Candy is Oreo. So it's like they've got the whole market cornered. That and Reese's.
I had peanut butter honeycomb brownie ice cream yesterday, and it was bussin' for real.
You grew like the afro haircut to say that.
It was bussin'. Yeah.
Where'd you get that? Like at a store?
It was this brand that doesn't put seed oils or bad things in their ice cream. I'm gonna gatekeep it.
It's not Tillamook or whatever that one is.
No, not that one.
That's the only.
This is not the way to get free ice cream, Mary.
How do I get free ice
By
cream?
actually
I'm gonna give them free
promoting
promo.
Yeah. Well, you gotta give them promo, and then you get the free ice cream.
Is that how that works?
Yeah.
I look at this and I just see hey diabetes. So when I was home last week, we went to this store. It was literally called the Sugar Store. It's the greatest name ever for sugar or something, and had a Skittles flavored water, but it wasn't actually water. It was just Skittles flavored drink and Warhead soda.
That's gross.
And the Warhead soda was incredible and highly overpriced. It was $4 for a can, for a 12-ounce can, but when in Rome, you buy it one time. I've given up soda. I was I'll break my soda ban for this since I'm out of town. It was my one thing for myself.
Okay.
You have to treat yourself.
Yeah,
You do
treat
have to treat
yourself.
yourself.
Treat yourself, kings.
As they say. So
Do you remember when Lady Gaga had her own line of Oreos?
No.
And they were even worse than this. The cookie part was pink. They dyed it pink, and then the cream was green.
Alex Clark would just be
St.
freaking
Patrick's
out.
Day green.
Alex Clark would be freaking out right now about all the food dyes in the stuff.
Yes, and I ate them.
Yeah.
And it was gross.
It's what is with Lady Gaga marketing anything but music? It's Kanye's I love Lady Gaga. What the hell does she know about cameras?
Yeah.
You have to applaud her for it.
Yeah. They're hey, Lady Gaga, you don't really know anything about shooting photography. Would you like to be the spokesperson for Polaroid or for Kodak?
It wasn't just that. It was a creative director.
I guess that could make sense. I guess but Directing what?
I don't know.
They sell the film. They
I
don't.
feel like there's a lot of it is just, can we, we'll give you money to put your name on this.
Yeah.
And because and look, if she's actually doing something, more power to her. I'm not saying that she isn't or saying that she doesn't, but like, I know that there are super efficient people that can really, really do a lot of stuff with their time. I get it. There are people that can really, chop up their time and be very, very, very efficient. I don't know that I believe that every single artist that has their name on something is actually that super efficient, especially artists that have their name on a bunch of things. So I feel like a lot of this is just, hey, can we put your name on it? We'll make sure that, your lawyers look at stuff so that way, or your representative look at stuff so that way it doesn't, put you in a bad light, but, just put your name on it. You spend a day giving your input on a couple things, and there you go. Yeah. That's your deal.
How do you feel about universities giving celebrities honorary degrees?
I think that's ridiculous.
Stupid. They did that for Taylor Swift at NYU.
I remember that.
Dumb.
Yeah.
And then their speech for their commencement speech is always the worst thing.
Can you give an example of I remember Denzel.
Well, we talked about it when Taylor Swift
I remember
did
hers,
that.
but I can remember Denzel gave one that was actually pretty good.
Well, Denzel's a smart person, though.
Is a smart dude.
Yeah, there's no question that Denzel Washington is a wise dude as well as a smart person. Obviously he's going to be able to handle that kind of thing. Whereas look, I like Taylor Swift. I don't know that Taylor Swift has much to offer about how to,
Yeah.
She's a little on the young side to be wise, right? She's successful, fine, but she is a little on the young side to be considered a wise person, right?
Well, no one remembers the valedictorian speech from their graduation.
Probably that's probably true. I don't know. I didn't even go to graduation.
Same point applies.
Yeah.
Here's really big news today. Ice Spice is officially a certified wood in Brett's book because she has an Android.
Yeah. So
that's why? Really?
So people are pissed at her. They're like, she's less attractive now because she has an Android. And I was like, that's why?
I mean, if you asked me, she was already unattractive, but in Brett's mind, it's a green flag if a woman doesn't have an iPhone.
No. You're misrepresenting my argument. I said
okay, she doesn't have the latest iPhone, whatever.
And that's not just true of iPhone. That's true of Android too. So if you don't have an a Galaxy S24.
Wait, so if a woman has a Galaxy Fold, you think that's a red flag?
Not if it's an older Galaxy Fold. If it's the previous model.
How do you
so the
keep
newest
up?
one so newest is bad.
I just see newest as look, they're materialistic. They need the newest thing as soon as it comes out. It's a little. This is gonna sound.
I think
sexist.
there are probably better indicators, but I understand what you're saying.
Sexist?
It's probably different for men. It's probably men, especially men with phones. It might if it's a nicer phone, it might be actually more based on actually liking technology. With women, I don't know if they really think about the technology behind their phone all that much.
No, of course not.
Yeah. That sounds a little bit sexist, but it's not meant to be.
It's literally true.
It's not
I mean,
meant to be.
I use Apple because
sexism is usually true things.
I think the iPhone is just easier to understand for dumb people like me.
I mean, look, I'm an iPhone guy, and we the guys in All That Remains, we all have iPhones. And when there was one person in the band that didn't have an iPhone, we specifically had a text chain that was without him, and the reason was it was a practical reason, which is if you go in venues, especially in cities, a lot of times inside the venues, cell phone service isn't great, but you'll have Wi-Fi, so we can talk amongst each other because you're using iMessage. It goes over the internet. We don't have to worry about it. But if someone has a green text and they go inside, they mess up the text message thing for everybody. And there's times when it's hey, where's it's actual stuff that you need to know that's being spread around, and that messes up everyone's ability to communicate.
This is why you need walkie-talkie.
Yeah,
that's the real revolution.
Listen, band dudes are not gonna walk around with a walkie-talkie on them. Crew dudes do, and that's what we do for crew. We have a whole set of good quality walkie-talkies, but
so do you agree with Brett that it's a red flag for a woman to have the latest iPhone?
I don't know, because I think that there are other red flags that I would be looking for before that.
I didn't say it was
sure,
the
it's
only
not the
one.
biggest red flag. Is it a red flag in general?
It wouldn't occur to me, honestly. If I'm to be flat honest with you, it wouldn't be oh, that's a thing. There would be probably other things that would be a thing.
I wouldn't even necessarily say that the newest iPhone is a red flag or the newest phone is a red flag. It's that having an older one is a green flag. How about that?
Is it a green flag to have a cracked screen?
No.
Yes.
See, this is where I wanted to go with this. Because you think it's a green flag if she's walking around with a shattered screen.
No.
I
it's
think
cracked and shattered is different too. Like
whatever it is.
Because crack would have happened within the past week or two. Shattered means that it's been that way for a long time.
I'm talking like months. She doesn't really.
Shattered.
She's not doing anything about it.
Totally a red flag. Totally a red flag.
Green flag.
No. No.
I think it means she lacks conscientiousness and doesn't care for her belongings.
Or she just doesn't want to spend the money to buy a new one, and she doesn't spend all her time on her phone, so it's not the first thing she replaces.
I love that you're simping for this fictional woman
right
now.
Whoever this woman is.
Okay.
Whoever this woman is.
It's Ice Spice.
I shall simp for her. I don't know who she is, but I shall simp for her, okay?
Okay.
It's fine.
You're going to simp for Katy Perry next.
I'm not going to simp for Katy. You never know.
She just got the Cybertruck and sent Elon a thank you message on Twitter. And Phil, you posted about this.
I did.
She has officially been ousted from the LGBT community over this.
I don't care how many girls you kissed. No longer a member of the LGBT community because you did something.
How much did that song?
You liked something that Elon liked or made.
How much help did that song give the LGBT community, anyways? Like
None.
That song back then.
None. That was all directed at straight
discourse.
girls. It was all directed at straight girls to get guys' attention. That's all it was.
That's a fair point.
That was the whole thing. That was not an LGBT song. That was a song directed at straight girls that wanted to get dudes to look at them. That's what it was.
The funny thing is I wonder if she's just doesn't aware of the cultural climate. If she isn't aware of the cultural climate, doesn't understand that liking anything.
If she doesn't aware, it was actually better, to be honest with you.
But Kim Kardashian has a Cybertruck. She didn't get any hate for that.
Yeah, but she didn't say, "Hey, thanks, Elon."
Oh, so the problem is if you acknowledge the fact that Elon made the car.
Kind of, yeah.
You have to pretend that you don't know.
Yeah, Elon is bad Rocket Man.
You have to pretend you don't know, even though you use X, you own a Tesla.
Rocket Man bad.
Okay, Rocket Man bad.
It's Orange Man bad, it's Rocket Man bad. It is that simple.
Have you seen a Cybertruck yet?
In person? No.
I saw one when I was in LA. It was very weird.
Yeah.
Also, I think that I don't think Kim Kardashian would care. Like, I don't know if she actually cares about the culture war in that respect.
No.
She's not above or below it. She's to the side of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And she can indulge in both sides if she wants to.
But Katy Perry, I thought she was already canceled by the gays because she voted for Rick Caruso in LA.
I completely forgot about that.
She's a Republican.
I just saw a thing the other day that Karen Bass had her house broken into, and I said, "Huh, karma." That because Rick Caruso was the slightly more tough on crime, lower taxes guy, and Karen Bass was not.
And they were like, "How dare you vote for this literal Nazi?"
Basically, yeah. I think that it might be that she's just not culturally aware of the venom that's spewed at Elon Musk, and she's not. Like, what is she doing? She's like leaving American Idol. Like, what is
she gave up on her music career years ago. Like, yeah, she went on American Idol, and now she's done doing that. And she's probably selling a makeup line or something.
She doesn't really need like that person in her corner to be like, maybe don't mention Elon Musk right now. You know, like that takes a guy. You got to have a guy or a girl who does have a brand new phone with all the new stuff on it that's there and online enough to be like, hey, right now it's not fashionable to like things that Elon Musk has made. Somebody did, however, point out the hilarity that says it is funny for you to be mad at something that somebody buying something that Elon Musk made and saying it from an app that he owns.
Yeah.
Which is
dumb.
funny.
It's super dumb because it's just all super dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb,
but it's funny. It makes me laugh. And the truck does look. Is she got like a, what is that, like a green color?
No,
I can't
it's
tell
just the lighting.
Is that just the lighting?
They don't sell them in different colors.
You can get wraps.
You can't. It's supposed to be like not individualist. It's like
but they
all look the same.
They ship them out with wraps. You can get matte black wraps. You can get all kinds of wraps. I guarantee by now you can get all sorts of wraps because it's just like whatever the wrap is, like even if it's like an American flag or whatever, all it is just they'll cut it out of Yeah,
so. It's really funny. Somebody down there in the comments did say Spaceship Man bad. So
Spaceship Man bad, Rocket Man bad.
All right, here we go, guys.
The YZY Corn brand
has been taken down. This post was You said that he deleted his Twitter.
Yeah. Well, Kanye shared this promotion for YZY Corn, saying YZY Corn is coming. Get it? As a video, and we're sharing the reposted screenshot right now because after the fact, I'm not sure exactly when, he deleted his Twitter account. He's not suspended. He's not banned off the platform. He deleted it himself. So I guess he's having a crisis of conscience over this right now. He must be in the trenches right now trying to decide what he wants to do.
It all feels like weird performance art to me.
Is the deleting his account thing also a cry for attention?
All of it feels like weird performance art to me.
I feel like it's, I mean, look, anything that gets people talking about stuff is really probably the goal. Like, I don't know. So maybe he is like borderline or bipolar or whatever. And maybe these are just, you know, random, decisions that he makes on a whim or whatever. But either way, it still fulfills the purpose of getting people to talk about it. He is Kanye and, you know, whatever he's doing, people are talking about it. And because of the fact that he's been so crazy and ridiculous the past, 2 or whatever years or so, people are expecting crazy and ridiculous. So,
and he makes for headlines every single time, and he can pull from that.
What do you guys think the odds of actual porn content coming from Kanye? Well, and has there been any discussion about what kind of porn is like?
No, there's no discussion of what type of porn.
I'm wondering to get in on that meeting.
The reason I'm asking is I'm wondering if he's going to take the angle of this is married people for married people, blah blah blah. Because that's the
ethical porn,
the ethical, kind of thing. I'm just wondering if that's what he's going to do or not.
That it was going to be some kind of bait and switch where it ends up being like, ooh, you clicked on the link to look at porn, but it's actually a video of Bianca like reading the gospel. Like something really stupid like that. I would think that both are equally stupid, but not equally evil. I guess.
I posted I saw a ridiculous picture of Kanye and his wife, and I posted it on my Instagram page.
Is it the one where they were finally wearing clothes?
They are wearing clothes. She's got a purple.
Oh, the pillow.
A purple pillow, and he's wearing a weird thing, and he looks like, you can tell he's out of shape. Like, he looks like garbage.
He's trying to hide his rolls with the bomber jacket.
He's got the belly and stuff. You can tell that he's he's got the man boobs.
Well, when
and stuff.
In Rome,
he needs to get to the gym.
You eat a lot of cheese.
You need to get to the gym.
You
got too much money to be like that.
It's only April. It's not that like. Phil, you said like this is 2024. It's like it's only April and people walking around with pillows.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long year.
Yeah, it is. It's gonna be a long year.
All right, well, we'll have to wait and see, but I don't know if I buy that. I don't think that it ends up. It just seems like another one of those things will be like a year, like when we're doing a year in review, like, oh yeah, remember when Kanye was going to start a porn company?
Yeah, and then it's going to be like, oh, that guy self-immolated.
Yeah.
Kind of dark.
No, I hope that Kanye doesn't self-immolate.
Oh, not Kanye. I mean the two other guys.
Yeah.
Also, I wasn't sure if we were going to cover this because some time has passed, but Bring Me the Horizon posted a promo for their new album, which was Blasphemous. And Melanie Mack posted a video about this as a former fan, I guess now, of the band. She is now boycotting the album and all their music. Yeah. So let's watch what she had to say about that.
Let's do it. Here we go.
So Bring Me the Horizon made an extremely blasphemous tweet last night at like 2 a.m. Now, I already know this band is atheist, and I know they're against religion and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, whatever. I still listen to them. It wasn't a huge deal what a band's personal beliefs are. But in this case, and in this outright blasphemy, can't do it. I took them off of all of my playlists. Let me just read it to you and I'll continue. Anyway, so they were announcing their tour date here, and they said, if Jesus Christ returns, we'll just unalive that effer 2 times. I saw that. I was done. Their new album has been my most anticipated album of the year. I have been listening to their singles on loop non-stop practically since they dropped them. But I am done. I don't even care anymore. People can call me soft, they can say this, that, or the other, but I will not stand for outright blasphemy against Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior.
We got a $20 in the meantime from Nebik. He said, I own an automotive upholstery business. I worked on a Cybertruck that was getting armor plating. Wow. They're overrated.
Okay.
I hope you told that guy that he bought an overrated car.
Your car's overrated.
For that much money. Yeah. But yeah, like, thoughts on this, Phil? If any?
I mean, look, blasphemy has been, like, part of metal for as long as, like, metal's been metal. And even though, Bring Me the Horizon has kind of moved away from metal. That's still been kind of their shtick forever and stuff. I get
what even are they now? They're not metal.
They're
right?
they're a modern hard rock pop band.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is basically what they are. So and they incorporate a lot of, because there's no longer an underground. They can get away with incorporating like really heavy stuff that comes from the underground, or would have 15 years ago would have been the underground, but there is no underground anymore. So you can kind of mix as much heavy stuff and not heavy stuff as you want. But yeah, I mean, I get her impulse, and it's America. She can do what she wants and stuff. I don't, I'm not gonna dog her out. But at the same time, for me, I mean, people say stuff in music to get a rise out of people all the time, So.
Well, do you think she's giving them what they wanted in terms of this
reaction?
Yeah,
I mean, she's promoting them by making the video. She's fulfilling the desire that they had by making that. Sure, they lost a listener, and they'll probably lose some listeners over it, because there's been a resurgence of religiosity and Catholicism and stuff like that, and Christianity in the West broadly. So people are going to there are people that are going to look at that and say, I'm not super religious, but it's still kind of cringe. They're going to say that just because I imagine Gen Z doesn't have the same look on religion that these guys do.
They're like the least religious, or not least religious generation, but like least likely generation to have been raised in a religious household so far in American history. So it's like, what exactly are you hoping? I guess they don't even care if Gen Z likes their music. I'm sure their fan base is mostly millennial anyway. Yeah.
Probably
people who were listening to them in their heyday.
I think that this shows Bring Me's age, though, honestly, because it's one of those things where it's like, this is supposed to get the young kids, blah blah blah, but the young kids aren't going to be rebelling against the church, because the church is now is not in power. So they're to rebel against. Rebelling, not saying that like the conservatives are right that the way to be punk rock nowadays is to be a conservative. I don't think that's actually accurate. Yeah. But it's definite. You're not going to rebel against the authority by rebelling against the church, because that's just like, nobody listens to them anyways, It's
weird how you go on Twitter, and if you were to pay attention to certain corners of Twitter, you'd still think that was still the way things are.
Yeah. Oh, the metal world. There's so much of the metal world that thinks that the church is who they need to rebel against. There's so many people that they get into the anti-Christian thing like it's the 90s, and I'm like, guys, if you really kind of knew that. Like, don't you understand that this is kind of passé now, and young people are not like, ooh, this is rebellious.
They don't. It's just
they don't. No, they don't. It's clear.
They don't realize it's the same way. It's like now your Nirvana shirt comes from Target rather than from anything. How did you feel about this, given your background?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't even listen to Bring Me the Horizon anymore.
But if you were to take a band,
they're not like cool anymore.
If you were to take a band, if Taylor Swift came, I don't know, who was like if somebody that you liked came out tomorrow and said the same thing.
If a band I listened to released music that was blasphemous, I would just stream their old stuff, right?
Yeah. Like there's, this just
everybody always streams their old stuff. Nobody listens to anyone.
Yeah,
no one listens to anyone's new stuff.
In the first place are from their old music anyway. In the case of Bring Me the Horizon.
No, it's just every band. Every band. It's always their old stuff.
Every band in that space at this point.
But believe me, it's always they liked your old stuff. Your last record was better.
Yeah.
There's I can't think of, and mine wouldn't be analogous to music because I just don't know the personal lives or the political or religious views of the musicians that I listen to. But if I was to take this argument to like the world of movies and television, maybe it's the beauty of like short attention span or just not being able to think of it in the moment. But we see tons of actors that say stupid stuff all day long, and it never prevents me from watching or enjoying a movie they're in.
Sure.
If anything,
same difference.
I get like a weird, I get weirdly like pumped where I'm like, wow, this moron is really good at their job.
We got a $20 from Corey Anderson. He said, Bring Me the Horizon is just being edgy. No one freaks out about Tupac's Don Killuminati album cover. You can't kill Jesus anyway. He already proved that. Shadow Moses is a dope song, and so is Chelsea Smile. Lost is really good too.
I like Bring Me the Horizon personally. I think they're really good.
Plus,
I remember those songs.
Tupac was dead when that album came out, so he couldn't really bear the brunt of any religious backlash that would have came anyways. And he was tatted with crosses, so or with crucifixes. So that would have maybe caused a problem. But that's I went in after the last time we talked about that album. I went back and re-listened to all of the earlier Tupac albums and realized how much I still enjoy them, no matter what Twitter says.
Yeah,
can't make me not love those albums. But there are no actors that have stupid things to say where I can't go back and rewatch their work and still enjoy it. But maybe that's my own fault for not having religious views that I feel strongly about.
That's the thing. Like I get that. Like if someone goes back and like looks at something in there like political or like they didn't like this or whatever, it's really lame. I get why people are like, hey, that's offensive to my religion, right? Yeah. It's not me, but I get why people are like, that's offensive to my religion. What I don't get is people that are like, hey, that's offensive to my religion, someone should cut his head off.
It's like maybe I'm missing out that I just don't have beliefs that I feel that strongly about.
You are missing out.
So that's thank you for that.
That's just the little one I sprinkle in like once a year.
Yes, she's very good at not
nothing
pushing.
like passive aggressive.
Yeah, she's like, oh yeah, you are missing out. That's rough. So, well, I was interested to hear both of your opinions on that. You because of your music background, and you because obviously being religious. But she's that obviously got to her and bothered her a lot. And I don't know if it's going to affect their fan base.
No, it's definitely not going to affect Bring Me the Horizon's fan base. If anything, it's going to expand. It'll help them because it puts them in. It puts them in press, and there is truth to the idea that you always have to be expanding your fan base because you are always losing fan base. And it's not like people are just like, I don't like you. It's just there's a certain amount of people that are like, true? This is new.
That they you have to continue to try and grow it.
Yeah, because there's always attrition because you've always got people that just don't listen to music so much anymore.
Stuff.
Well, or the new stuff, but like really if you can get, so like we've been fortunate that we've got a couple songs that really kind of resonate with people. And like those songs are songs that people are always going to listen to for their whole life. For the next 20 years, like What If I Was Nothing is a song that people literally are like, oh, that was the first song at our wedding, our first dance, right? Yeah. So that song is always going to be something that people listen to because they were associated with a time in their life. There's a couple other songs that we have that are like that that people have made a part of their life, and so they'll always love those. But what you want to do is you want to have new stuff, or you would try to have new stuff coming out that people are making a part of their life consistently, because people are always moving on from music. There's not a core group of people that have like a song that's like a part of their life. Sometimes you just like listen to it for a little while and then they're on to the new thing. So you always want to be expanding because there is a certain amount of attrition.
What's interesting about that is that if you move that to the movie and television space, a lot of people would say that that's the opposite. Like that, what they keep doing in movies and television is trying to find the mythical phantom audience when they have like Star Wars looking to expand a fan base that's already big enough as it is to sustain the brand. And by trying to expand your audience, you end up making something for everybody that ends up appealing to nobody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of goes both ways.
So it is true, but from my perspective or our perspective, it's like we're super fortunate that we've been able to have a couple songs that have really kind of made a career for us. But if you don't have some songs that are really, really, really big, like you have to keep churning stuff out to stay relevant with people. So,
all right.
Speaking of trying to stay relevant.
Yes, that's a very good segue.
Writing a celebrity memoir. Rebel Wilson, we talked about her revelations about Sacha Baron Cohen.
Which is not in the British version of this. I pulled that up here. So
yes.
All of that stuff has been removed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
All of those salacious details about Sacha Baron Cohen have been removed from the British version of this book.
We got a $20 from Corey Anderson. He said, Tom Araya is a practicing Roman Catholic. The Lord has given metal to the masses to melt faces. Ask Jack Black. Phil, have Mary listen to an All That Remains song now, please. This is hard while driving. Okay, super chatting while driving is not advised.
Yeah, we
hope you stay safe out there.
That. And I can't let her listen to a song right now because that's copyright issues. So
then we're gonna be paying you.
Yeah, like I do not own until the new record comes out. I do not own any of the All That Remains music outright. So the next record is I'm releasing it on Phil's metal record label, whatever you want to call it.
I love it. It should be called Phil's metal record label, whatever you call it. But not just the Sacha Baron Cohen stuff.
Yeah, so the newest revelation from Rebel Wilson's celebrity memoir, she claims that a British royal, unnamed, took her to an orgy. Is that really that surprising? I think it was Prince Andrew.
No, they said
right? He was the one who was friends with Epstein,
They
right?
said they were farther down the lineage. It says supposed male who she describes as a male supposedly 15th or 20th in line to the British throne.
Listen, I need to know way more before I'm going to be horrified, okay? Right? Like, I'm not going to judge good or bad on this, but I'm leaning towards, it's royal, so I'm going to play it safe and say this is probably bad, but I can't.
She said she didn't realize it at the time. The party, which was medieval themed, transformed into a sex-fueled romp later in the evening.
That sounds like it's just one of the Eyes Wide Shut parties with the masks. And she got there, she's like, oh, why is everybody dressed like it's the medieval times? But really, it was an Eyes Wide Shut party.
They weren't talking about a boy-girl ratio like it was a year 8 disco. They were talking about an orgy. She attended in hopes of finding a boyfriend.
That's not.
She's gay.
It's not how you meet a man.
How long ago was this?
Pretty long ago, apparently, when she probably hadn't come to terms with her sexual orientation yet. But she did not predict what unfolded next. And also, she said there were drugs starting to get passed around the room.
Shocking.
And she bailed because she didn't want to lose her V card in a setting like that.
So
she was at the
virgin?
time, by the way, still a virgin until she was 35.
35.
Good for her.
I will say, not to make any judgments about, I don't know how the book is doing, but I've been to like multiple stores. I've rarely ever seen like a bookshelf less disturbed than
Rebel
the shelf
Wilson's
for
memoir.
It was like so hers was right next to what was it? the Elon Musk one that came out fairly recently,
right?
And a couple of others, and the other.
I mean, that's been out for quite a while.
Like, and all of the other ones were kind of looked like people had thumbed through them and everything, and hers just looked pristine, like they had just clean. Maybe the thing is, maybe it was so busy that they keep cleaning it and restocking it because it's selling so well.
What did she think was gonna happen?
I think that also the cover of the book is a picture of her thin. I think it should have included a picture of her fat.
Do it before and after.
Because that's how people know her. It should have had like the before and the after.
It also just looks like a cheaply done Photoshop, right?
Yes.
Wow.
What is that?
Oh my God. I forgot how bad she looks.
Wow.
Like I didn't scroll down.
We're catty mean girls.
Well, no, she you know what it is, because if you look at Adele is how you lose the weight. Right. Adele looks great.
Well,
now,
what did she do differently? She was just attractive to begin with.
but bigger. And but also
Yeah,
bigger.
Adele was pretty the entire time.
Right.
She was heavy. She was always pretty.
She had a good canvas to work with.
Yeah. She just shrunk the canvas down.
She didn't end up getting Ozempic face.
That's what I'm saying, right? She
Are we
said
talking about Ozempic face today?
We talked about it yesterday.
Ozempic face. How do you feel about that? Know anybody on Ozempic?
I don't, but there are legitimate reasons to be on Ozempic, but
Yeah.
to use it as a shortcut to get into quote unquote shape is not good. Clearly, because you can see it on people's faces.
Whatever happened to good old-fashioned bulimia in this
Is
country?
it like reject modernity, embrace tradition?
That was a joke. We're not endorsing eating disorders. Or
I
anything
endorse
like that.
getting on the treadmill and going a lot.
I
That's
watched
what I endorse.
a video from the Post Millennial today called Trans Academy, where it was on men on a treadmill learning how to walk in heels. There you go.
Disavow.
There you go. Don't do it.
Disavow.
All right. Time to talk about Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, Harvey Weinstein's guilty verdict in New York State was just overturned today. And the judge decided this because there was prejudice in allowing women to testify about allegations that were not part of the case. Do you guys think that that would be stepping outside of the bounds of the case? I mean, it definitely sounds like it's not good practice.
New York City has an absolute clown justice system between Daniel Perry, right? Daniel Perry.
Penny.
Is it Penny?
Yeah.
Daniel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Daniel Penny. All the stuff with
The Trump trial,
with
obviously.
President Trump.
The Daniel Penny one it's hilarious now, because now every 3 to 4 weeks, somebody posts a video of something happened to a woman and a bunch of men not doing anything about it. And the women are all like, see, men, you're the problem. And the men come in and just post pictures of Daniel Penny.
It's like, look, this is, you know, like, I had something to say about one the other day. There was a woman that got, you know, a woman that got, you know, accosted, and a dude was just sitting there. And it's like, look, man, when you put people in jail for trying to help, no one's going to help. And it doesn't take a lot of people to go to jail for people to be like, yeah, that's not going to happen. There were like at one point there was the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, which anyone that saw that was like, all right, that kid was defending himself. So right off the bat, like they're like, well, I'm not so sure if I believe this, but you could at least say, well, there was the riots and blah, 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 extenuating circumstances, yada, yada, yada. The Daniel Penny thing, it's clear. If you try to help someone and you hurt someone while you're trying to do it, you're going to go to jail. It's not worth it, and it sucks that that's the way it is, but that's the way that it is.
So this is what it says. On Thursday, the court found in a 4-3 ruling that the judge in the Weinstein trial, a landmark moment in the Me Too movement from the 2017 allegations against him, had shown prejudice by allowing women to testify about allegations that were not a part of the case. It says Weinstein spokesperson Judah Engelmeyer said in a statement, "We are cautiously excited. We still have a long way a road. He still has a long road ahead of him because of the Los Angeles case. We are studying the ramifications of the appeal right now. Weinstein's lawyers will be holding a press conference today at 1:30 p.m. in Manhattan."
So I guess that's either just ended or still going on right now.
Yep.
It's crazy that there is a real possibility of Harvey Weinstein walking free. I know that it's a very slim chance because he obviously has this 16-year sentence in California, and it's highly unlikely that he is going to get out.
Yeah.
He's likely to die in jail, whether it's in New York or in California.
But
there is still a slim chance. Really, and they continued, "We have reaffirmed that no person accused of illegality may be judged on proof of uncharged crimes that serve only to establish the accused propensity for criminal behavior. It's an abuse of judicial discretion to permit untested allegations of nothing more than bad behavior that destroys a defendant's character but sheds no light on their credibility as related to criminal charges lodged against them."
I thought they weren't even allowed to use things you'd been actually convicted of in court.
Yeah, I didn't know that was...
Like, you can't use prior case history against someone. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm sure that, like, you know, it's different if it's a character recommendation letter, right? Mm-hmm. But these are people testifying against him, even though they had nothing to do with the conviction. So those were a sexual assault against a woman named Miriam Haley, who was a production assistant on Project Runway. And he was also convicted of raping Jessica Mann at a hotel in 2013. And I think those were just the two of them.
So
that's all for the harm. That's the whole Weinstein case. Is those two?
Those are the ones that they used as examples.
Okay.
That was not what he was being. That was not the one that he was accused of. Those are the ones that they used as examples in the court. But they're not the ones that he was charged from in New York.
No, it says convicted. He was convicted of both of those things. But those were his guilty verdicts.
So it says, "Today's decision is a major step back in holding those accountable for acts of sexual violence," said Douglas Wigdor, an attorney who represented 2 pretrial witnesses in New York City. "Courts routinely admit evidence of other uncharged acts where they assist juries in understanding issues concerning the modus operandi or scheme of the defendant. The jury was instructed on the relevance of this testimony, and overturning the verdict is tragic in that it will require the victims to endure yet another trial." Judge Madeline Singas, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it, wrote in the court's dissenting opinion, "With today's decision, the court continues to thwart the steady gains survivors of sexual violence have fought for in our criminal justice system. Forgotten are the women who bear the psychological trauma of sexual violence and the scars of testifying again and again. This erosion of precedent, born from a refusal to accept that crime of sexual violence are far more nuanced and complex than other crimes, comes at the expense and safety of women."
Look, I'm sure that Harvey Weinstein is guilty of many of the allegations that have been brought against him, but I won't say all, because after I listened to Jennifer Newsom's testimony against him, I can't take it seriously anymore. And it's women like that that hurt the credibility of the women who are the real victims. Because she literally said to a courtroom that she was raped by Harvey Weinstein, but she never said no, never indicated that she didn't want to have sex, and faked having an orgasm in the middle of sex to make it end faster. Like, that is the most bizarre thing I have ever read in my life. And she's trying to say that that was still rape.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not going to say that he's guilty of everything that he's been accused of doing because that woman exists.
It says the issue of prior bad acts testimony was also raised in Bill Cosby's successful appeal of his sexual assault case as well. It says in that case, 5 women were allowed to testify that one allegation was, but only one allegation was charged. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned that conviction on different grounds, finding that prosecutors had reneged on a promise not to prosecute Bill Cosby. Mm-hmm. So
they said this is a major prejudice. It's saying he's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. I mean, I do think he's a bad guy, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as much as the Me Too movement has been kind of discredited and kicked around at this point, nobody takes it seriously anymore. It feels like Harvey Weinstein is one of very few people that you cannot say anything positive about. Him, Kevin Spacey, Epstein, who else? There's a list of people that you really can't suggest are innocent. Yeah. Not that I think he is innocent,
no, exactly.
But some people have just arbitrarily decided that Harvey Weinstein bad, but all these other people who have been accused of shit, they're good. Yeah. And we're just gonna not believe those accusers, and we're gonna arbitrarily believe these accusers because we don't like this one. We don't like Harvey Weinstein.
There are plenty of people online, at least, maybe not in the public space, that are saying it, but who say, like, look, a lot of these women willingly sold, their innocence for fame or the chance at fame, and that really ends up becoming part of the problem, right? It's the chance doesn't always work out, and then it becomes an issue later.
Right, that's the gray area that you really can't address legally.
Yeah, that's the nuance that they're talking about there.
People knew about him for decades, and you decided it was just a totally normal request to have a business meeting with Harvey Weinstein in his hotel room.
Yeah, it is.
They knew, like, a lot of them knew exactly what they were getting into, and if that makes me sound cold and callous to their suffering, you know what? That's fine. Yeah. But it's true. It's true. This was an open secret. We call it an open secret for a reason, because all of these people knew.
Yeah. The topic of these issues ends up becoming one of those ones where when people bring up the idea of, like, I'll wait for the courts to decide, I always say, I'm like, what? Or like, I'm waiting for more evidence. I'm like, what evidence do you think they're going to find?
Yeah,
like,
what about when the courts say, never mind, we're overturning the verdict? That's a misnomer,
because, like, they're like, unless you're as I always say, unless you're waiting for the magic Ring camera to catch the whole thing on video, like it's a movie and they're going to present it in the court and everyone's going to gasp, right, and then you're going to get the big guilty verdict with the big gavel. Like, that's not going to happen. There is, to what the dissenting opinion said, they're right. There is more nuance in these cases than tends to be discussed by the general public, because it always devolves into he said, she said.
So do you think that if Harvey Weinstein goes free, he's gonna produce a film with Bill Cosby?
Well, no. They're going to get the guy. So they're making a movie about how O.J. Simpson is innocent. There's going to be the Harvey Weinstein is innocent movie then too. After that,
are they making a movie about how O.J. is innocent? Really?
Yeah. Yep. God. The juice.
Why?
So they're gonna make that, and they're gonna make, it's gonna become
this is the didn't do nothing multiverse,
the cinematic universe. It's gonna be the Bill Cosby movie, the Harvey Weinstein movie, the Kevin Spacey movie, and Kevin Spacey was found not guilty on all his charges, but he's still gonna end up in that universe with all of these guys.
I'm looking at some of these comments.
They'll play themselves.
One said, example number infinity of how the criminal justice system is rigged in favor of the rich and powerful. I feel like if that were universally true, though, Harvey Weinstein would have gotten a not guilty verdict in the first place because he's rich and powerful.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, remember that Harvey Weinstein's, I saw somebody mention it, Leslie Headland is like the head of one of the heads of Lucasfilms right now, and she was Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant.
Yep, and she's working on The Acolyte.
Yep.
Really weird. I'd love to hear her stories. in her memoir that
She
comes
will
out
write,
one
yeah,
day.
like unfortunately, like the book that would be most interesting from her will never be written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another person in the comments said, this is a rare successful case of too many women have confirmed he's a rapist.
What does that mean?
Like, if you reach a critical mass of accusations against you, then everyone can just safely assume that you're guilty.
Well, I mean, look, there have to be charges, and he has to be like actually tried for any actual for any specific crimes. But it's probably not. It is safe to say that he's a rapist.
It is crazy. No, it is crazy. When we were like doing the thumbnail today, I was like, there isn't a single photo of him where he doesn't look like he's staring at someone.
He's leering.
Like he's leering.
He's not capable of looking innocent.
Yeah,
he's always leering.
Every woman that he's ever looked at, he looks at her like she's food.
Yes, it's absolutely true.
Like Harvey Weinstein is one of many examples for why I support judging a book by its cover. 100%.
Oh yes, you are correct there, Eugene. The cinematic universe will be directed by Bryan Singer. That is absolutely true. Yeah. So this is it's a blow to that case, but I definitely don't think he's going free anytime soon. I think that he'll stay firmly locked up in California.
Do you think they're gonna make a movie about him one day?
Yes. Well, I mean, like
he'll have to die first, right?
I mean, I don't know. Like what it is. He'll produce it from jail.
Amazing.
He produces he's so narcissistic. He'll even let him make a bad movie about him. He'll give them the money to make the movie just so it gets made. Yeah, they could do that. All right, let's go ahead. Cringe or cute of the day.
I think we should start with cute.
After that,
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that. We will start with cute of the day here then, ladies and gentlemen. First one here is from Ellen Thompson, and just says hashtag PCC Pets. And let's see what's going on here. You're supposed to drink the water, buddy. You're not supposed to pat
He's washing his paws.
Okay.
That's just unsanitary.
Well, they're cats. They're totally unsanitary.
As someone in the super chat said, cats are disgusting. They shit in boxes.
Yeah.
It's a cute cat, though.
All right. Thank you, Ellen. Got one more here from Ashley. It says Sophia, Waffles, Lily, and Dixie Rose.
Love the name Waffles.
Oh, that is a cute one.
Oh.
It's got what is that, a bear?
Yeah.
It's like a Burberry bear. Oh, that is very, very cute. All right. We do have cringe of the day.
Extensive cringe.
Extensive cringe.
Get ready. Brace yourselves. Buckle up, y'all. We have more from Crackhead Barney.
What do we start with? Do we start with Piers or do we start with...
Pierce Morgan. She appeared on the Pierce Morgan... You are showing chair right now.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you for the chair cam.
Thank you. Thank you, chair.
That's like when you leave the gas station with your gas tank open or when your flies down.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, so Crackhead Barney went on Pierce Morgan's show and chaos ensued.
Here we go.
That's all.
You're asking too
Just for the
many
record,
questions.
my name is actually just Piers Morgan.
What's wrong with saying free Palestine? Pierce, can you say free Palestine for me?
I think...
Pierce, can you say free Palestine for me?
If you stop shouting, yeah.
I want you to say it.
Yes, I'm happy to say...
Okay, I'm not going to shout.
If you just...
Mr. Pierce Morgan,
if you just keep quiet, I can answer your question. Yes, I'm very happy to say that...
I'm never quiet, Pierce.
Sorry, you're still talking.
I'm never quiet.
Okay, but try.
I'm never
Otherwise,
quiet,
I can't.
Pierce. I cannot
you asked me to
shut
do
up.
something. If you don't shut up, I can't give you the answer.
Oh my God.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Why was
I
she allowed on the
absolutely
show with
believe
those
that
nipple
Palestine should be
pasties?
free. Yes.
And that's the way she goes around all the time,
Okay.
right? That's her
And
shtick.
how are we gonna do that,
That's the
Pierce?
way that she
Give
approached
us the
Alec
answers,
Baldwin
Pierce
as well,
Morgan.
right?
Give us the
Pretty
fucking
much.
answer.
Yeah.
How are we gonna make Palestine free?
Yeah, if it was as simple
How
as
are we
me...
gonna do it?
If it was as simple as me just giving a simple answer now, it would have been done by now. It's a very complicated issue. But let me ask you again. Let me ask you again, seriously, why did you do what you did to Alec Baldwin, and what did you hope to achieve?
Alec Baldwin, look at me. Pierce, honestly. Pierce, look at my body. Look at me. Pierce, I was maimed by a white man.
Listen, I understand
I like how
you're a
she gets
performative
up
artist.
holding
I understand
the-
you're trying to make everybody laugh.
You're
You've
beating black
made
people
your
via
joke
rape.
about your
So
terrible
via
maiming.
satellite, you're lashing me.
Right, okay, I'm not lashing
I
you.
was beaten. This is the third. This
you
is
wanna-
the third white white man to beat me this week.
Right,
Third
okay.
white man.
What?
Yesterday, my white boyfriend beat the shit out of me. This is the third white man. Monday was Alec. The second day was another white man.
This
Third
is
day,
all,
Pierce
like, a
Morgan
performance,
is
right?
beating
Yes.
me
Well,
up
yeah.
on
His ability to
international
keep a straight face is
email.
fantastic.
For the content, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is a self-proclaimed performance artist. We talked about that on Monday. I was aware of her existence before this because
Okay.
she goes to Trump rallies and stuff like that. She also made a video claiming that Alec Baldwin, by punching her phone out of her hand, gave her a broken arm, a broken neck, and a broken leg. So let's see what Alec Baldwin did to Crackhead Barney. By the way, guys,
Crackhead Barney?
That's right.
that's what it's. Well, the show is called Crackhead Barney and Friends.
Okay.
So I want to be one of those friends.
Alec Baldwin, you motherfucker. This what you did to me. You thought my phone was a gun prop. He tried to shoot bullets from my phone. Alec, you'll hear from me. You'll hear from my lawyer, Alec.
Like, can you imagine
They
that
busted
person
white
chasing
bitches
you
up in the
around?
streets.
She's just dead.
Oh my God.
She just died.
Alec Baldwin. It's only Wednesday.
It's only Wednesday.
Somebody said that Piers Morgan lost a Pepsi sponsorship for saying that on the show.
What?
Free speech
Free housing,
advocate right there. Guys, I want Crackhead Barney on the show. I reached out to her last night. I don't know if I'm going to get a response.
Don't do it on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Well, I think that she needs her own appearance on the show. Let me see if she's responded to my
does.
DM yet.
She does deserve this.
She
on
really
a
is trying to
Friday.
ghost me right now because she thinks she's a big shot. She thinks that she's famous now.
Damn it.
The ability for Piers Morgan to keep the straight face while that's going on. I suppose knowing she's a performance artist makes it a little bit easier.
She tweeted, "I have a yeast infection. Whose fault is it? Alec Baldwin or Piers Morgan?"
Both of them.
Both of them, of course.
She also claimed that Piers Morgan is in love with her.
I think Marcos is right. We need to bring on Alex Stein with her to match energy.
If they don't have a collab in the works already, I'm going to be so disappointed.
Yes.
Like, he follows her on Twitter, so I assume that they've reached out.
Yeah.
If they haven't, that's like, what are you even doing?
Okay.
Name a more iconic duo. I will wait.
All right. Let's go ahead now that we are 57 minutes into the show, ladies and gentlemen. Mary, what the hell is going on with Billie Eilish?
I wish I knew. Billie Eilish just did an interview with Rolling Stone, and it is like the worst thing I've ever come across. Seriously?
Ode to narcissism.
It's an ode to narcissism. She has a lot to say about sex and masturbation, and it's too much. It's too much information. We didn't want to hear that.
No, I'm sorry. This whole thing comes off as the theater kid version of JoJo Siwa saying, "I'm about to drop the F-bomb."
Well, and what JoJo Siwa said, word for word, was, "Porn is effing sick, dude."
God.
So here's what Billie Eilish said. "People should be jerking it, man." Billie Eilish on the value of masturbation. She also said that she should have a PhD in masturbation.
So I guess I wonder if the interviewer goes into it knowing that the topics are going to turn that direction, because all of the sound bites that got cut up and put into tweets.
Well, yeah, I'll go through in full context, because there wasn't really any context that could make this
it's
normal.
funnier if they just sat down and the interviewer goes.
Literally,
she just says that
it
without
was
saying-
not invited.
Yeah.
It was not invited. The interviewer said, "I ask her what she likes to do to decompress." Very normal question.
Some
You're
people
asking,
have a
do you
glass
like
of wine.
pickleball? You know,
A glass of wine, watch a movie.
Yeah. Do you like reading a book? I don't know. And here is what Billie Eilish said. "Sex. I basically talk about sex anytime I possibly can. That's literally my favorite topic. My experience as a woman has been that it's seen in such a weird way. People are so uncomfortable talking about it and weirded out when women are very comfortable in their sexuality and communicative in it. I think it's such a frowned upon thing to talk about, and I think that should change. You ask me what I do to decompress? That shit can really, really save you sometimes. Just saying. Can't recommend it more, to be real."
When guys have that conversation at work, they catch a case.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why it's weird.
Yeah, and she should shut up because she's an idiot. Because like literally, like that's exactly what I mean. Like women talk like that, and it's one thing. If guys talk like that, it's absolutely sexual harassment. She should shut her mouth. You can't encourage people to talk like that in modern society. It's ridiculous. First of all, you shouldn't be ashamed of sex either, but you shouldn't be talking about it in your normal interactions all day long. And the fact that she thinks about sex all the time, like, look, I'm not a religious guy, but like, people replace religion with something else, and it sounds like she's replaced her religion with worshiping her own body and worshiping herself.
Yeah.
And that's all people do. That's what people have done throughout history. I guarantee she's like, I should go hug some trees and masturbate in nature because that's nature, blah, blah, blah.
She's ecosexual.
It's all BS stuff.
Whether you're a man or a woman, I think choosing not to tell strangers about your sexual proclivities and your sex life, it's not shame-based, it's not Puritan, it's just normal and not being a pervert.
Exactly. It's not Puritan. It just means that as a human being, there are things that you communicate with other human beings about that come way before this, and arguably with far fewer people, because the people you should be having those conversations with should be the person you're in a relationship with.
Like, it's one thing if the interviewer said, so what are your opinions about sex and women being able to talk about sex?
That's
like,
different. Yeah.
If she said this in response, I'd be like, okay, she was invited to speak about this. But it was literally like, so what are your hobbies? And she's like, jerking it. Like,
honestly,
what is wrong with you?
It feels cringy to me, and it feels try hard, and it feels like she had that interview where she said that comment and then complained about how she was outed, and now she's gonna lean into it. But all it comes, and if you go,
I'm bisexual, man.
As we were going through, as
it's
Mary
really
was
quirky.
Going through this whole interview, and we're talking about it, it really does seem like she's cosplaying as a completely disassociated
It's
elite,
ridiculous.
trying to sound like a normal person who doesn't sound anything like a normal person.
And it's because it's also detached from reality, because I mean, she's talking about, people don't talk about sex enough. It's like, that's all people talk about.
Right.
The whole LGBT movement is all about sex and sexuality. And it's like, there's 100 days throughout the year on top of an entire month where you're celebrating sex and sexuality. Like, that is the idea that humans don't talk about it is absurd. It's ridiculous. And then top it off, like, that's just the sex part. Then, like, you can add in like all the women that talk about being pregnant and having babies and all of that stuff, which is a massive, and their period. All that stuff is talking about sex, sexuality, and the consequences and the things about sex. It's like the idea that humans don't talk about sex is absurd. It's so detached from reality, where you could literally just look at her and say, why does anyone even listen to you if you're not singing? Like, shut up.
Also, like,
so stupid.
A big part of it is like, she's saying that it's weird for women to talk about this, but remember, we had that discussion a while back where it's like, it's women comics that talk about sex, right?
Yeah.
Men comics may do it, but by and large, not nearly as much.
Yeah.
And that female comics go for that type of kind of, I don't know if it's shock, but it definitely is kind of supposed to be like a novelty form of shock comedy. Oh, look at this woman talking about.
The novelty is completely worn off, and it wasn't even funny when
it's been gone for ages, right? It's not a novelty anymore. It's like when they talk about the idea, like they talk about women as if they just were allowed to live on their own 10 years ago. Right? It's like, do you see people talking about the other day about the argument like women weren't allowed to own credit cards till the 70s, and they point out that MasterCard wasn't created until like 1976, and and only rich people had them back then. So it's kind of the argument is not relevant.
There's a lot of like, so the argument, women couldn't vote until blah blah blah, and yeah, that's true, but there was a whole lot of time where no one could vote.
Yes.
Like, so the idea that like there was a forever where all men were enfranchised and they were oppressing women forever. It was like maybe 100 years in all of human history where most men could vote and women couldn't. Like, and it's probably even less than that, because essentially on a time scale, like when you're dealing with all of humanity, it was almost instantaneous, almost instantaneously.
So again, like it's not the novelty she thinks it is.
No.
And
she's saying women don't talk about sex enough, and I literally can't stop hearing women talking about sex and their sexuality constantly. And I think everyone is starting to notice that everything in our culture is sexual. and none of it is sexy. There is no sex appeal anymore because we're all bootied out.
You're telling me this quote isn't
People should be jerking it, man.
Why
are you trying to sound like you're
why
a guy?
Yeah, that's another
why?
thing.
And she also in this whole photo shoot looks like this unwashed, like she's like in dirty clothes and she's like unwashed and like trying to look ugly and gross and sweaty, just like the Kristen Stewart photo shoot that she just did for Rolling Stone.
So stupid.
This is like a running theme. They're trying to make women ugly, hyper-sexualized. They're characterizing women as like the worst type of men.
Yeah. I think the part about the mirror is the
well. Let's continue. Yeah. So. Billie Eilish would also like a word about masturbation, which she says is equally taboo for women. Self-pleasure, she says, has made her more confident. Quote, TMI, but self-pleasure is an enormous part of my life and a huge help for me. People should be jerking it, man. I can't stress it enough as somebody with extreme body issues and dysmorphia that I've had my entire life. Billie Eilish likes to masturbate in front of a mirror. Would you like to hear her explanation?
Guys don't need this advice either. Guys have plenty of like dudes are masturbating too much.
She says, partly because it's hot, but it also makes me have such a raw, deep connection to myself and my body, and have a love for my body that I have not really ever had. I got to say, looking at yourself in the mirror and thinking, I look really good right now is so helpful. You can manufacture the situation you're in to make sure you look good. You can make the light super dim. You can be in a specific outfit or a specific position that's more flattering. I've learned that looking at myself and watching myself feel pleasure has been an extreme help in loving and accepting myself and feeling empowered and comfortable. The interviewer continued, Eilish has been wanting to discuss this with me, and now that she's gotten it all out, she exhales and inches back further onto the couch. She continued, I should have a PhD in masturbation.
Ironically, I think the interview probably did all of that for her as well, because it allows her to sit there and talk about herself.
The rest of it was like, she drinks vegan smoothies and she has an electric Porsche, but she's still relatable because she loves Chipotle.
Well, she doesn't have a driver. She drives the Porsche herself.
She doesn't have a driver. She doesn't have a personal chef, right? Yeah, she said that Chipotle is fire and she likes dyeing her hair blue.
She doesn't have a personal chef, but every single meal is delivered by DoorDash.
Yes.
So it's like...
Well, she bragged about the fact that she went in person to Chipotle.
Oh, okay.
Which was really grounded of her.
Among the sweaty, unwashed masses.
Yes. Yeah.
But she looks like the sweaty, unwashed masses.
People will sit there and they'll talk like they're you're like, oh, I don't have I'm not super rich or whatever. I don't have I can't afford someone to make all my meals and blah blah blah. But they order DoorDash for every single meal.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I wanted to point out that back in 2022, she was on Howard Stern and she was talking about how early exposure to pornography as a child actually heavily traumatized her and changed her sexual interests to be more violent and more perverse. And she went into detail about how she doesn't like how pornified our culture is and how much people celebrate it. So I found that quite ironic, and I wanted to play that video.
She used to wear like baggy clothes and stuff because of that.
Right, because she has these body image issues. I'm sure that's not unrelated to this addiction that she had, or maybe still has.
Here we go.
As a woman, I think porn is a disgrace, and I used to watch a lot of porn, to be honest. I started watching porn when I was like 11. I thought that's how you learned how to have sex. I was watching abusive porn, to be honest, when I was like 14. And I, thought I was one of the guys and would talk about it and think it was really cool for not having a problem with it and not seeing why it was bad. And I think it really destroyed my brain. And I feel incredibly devastated that I was exposed to so much porn. I think that I had like sleep paralysis and these like almost like night terror / just nightmares because of it. I think that's how they started, because I would just watch abusive BDSM. I couldn't watch anything else, like unless it was violent. I'm so angry that porn is so loved as a woman.
So Kanye called her and said, "No, look, you got to look the other way on this. We had it wrong."
Just thought that it was an interesting connection, right? So she grows up. Her parents, unfortunately, gave her internet access when she was too young, didn't pay attention. She's exposed to this extremely disturbing pornography as an 11-year-old. Yeah. It gives her a lot of issues, gives her probably body image issues. She said it changed her sexual preferences. It changed her sexual experiences as an adult, gave her night terrors, all of these different issues. And now we can see the result is that she has extremely perverse ideas about sexuality to this day. And now she's framing it in a way that should be celebrated. And I just think, like, I feel sorry for this person, because clearly she has never had any type of like real holistic view of what sexuality is for, what it's supposed to be. It was all taught to her by the most deranged, depraved shit on the internet when she was a child. And that's just a really sad end to the story, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, regardless of what her preferences are, I guess. Like, I'm not here to judge what she likes to do in the privacy of her own home, but when you decide to do a whole interview where it becomes the entire focal point of it, it is just, I just read all of this and thought it was strange how it's all framed in this extremely narcissistic tone, I guess. Like, it, like, more than just like your point to the morality of it, to me would just be it would be a bit off-putting for me, just the idea that it's all framed around the love of self, I guess.
Right, which is, obviously I'm coming at it from, like, at this subject from the perspective of someone who is religious, but I think that everyone has a basic understanding that what she is saying here, it is not the rightly ordered way to think about sex and sexuality. I think we can all tell that there's something wrong.
Well, beyond just like the morality of what you're doing, but just the outward way in which you're talking about it. Yeah, like who you're talking about it to, how you're promoting it to the public.
And her fan base is so much younger than her, too. Like, she does have fans her own age, but a lot of them are young kids, and I just am horrified that they're going to be exposed to all of this because they pay attention to everything she says, everything she does. And I wish that she cared about the influence she had on them more, but... I
mean, she is 22, so she's young still. So maybe this is the type of thing that she changes her tune on this later. I don't feel like when you're this mainstream, it goes anything other than one direction, and it just becomes more so.
Right.
This way.
No one is going to stop her and be like, hey, maybe you should rethink the way that you go about doing these interviews.
Usually you go from wholesome to edgy and continue on.
But she was always try-hard edgy from the very beginning.
Like I said, this to me just looked like art nerd JoJo Siwa trying to seem like she's older and more mature than she is, not realizing that adults don't actually, like, mature, rational adults don't have these conversations because it's not relevant to your daily life. But to be fair, she's never lived the average everyday life, so she doesn't understand the rational human experience as we know it.
Oh, she also has very strong opinions about whales.
I'm okay with that. Okay?
I don't know why this came up in the interview either, but she's not rocking with whales. She said, how can anybody just accept that a whale exists, y'all? Those things are enormous. The noises they make, that shit is terrifying to me. Ew!
I laugh because what somebody said, they said she's been fighting her homeschool brain her whole life, and it finally came out in this interview. And it does sound like somebody who hasn't been properly socialized and was homeschooled their whole life going off on a tangent.
Yeah. Not good. Okay, moving on.
All right, super chats then, shall we?
Shane H. Wilder said, happy Thursday, Brett, Mary, and Phil. Phil, congrats on the new tour with Megadeth and Mudvayne. It's gonna be fire AF.
It's gonna be sick.
Andrew Jacobs said, Phil, first Metallica, now Megadeth. Keep failing.
I know, right?
Failing upwards.
Love that. Failing upwards, Phil.
Let's do two more.
Not That Jon Stewart said, happy Thursday. Phil, I'm getting tickets to see you in Michigan.
Yes.
Can't wait.
Come out. It's going to be awesome.
The Manic Mustache said, if y'all don't do a PCC road trip series with All That Remains, I will unsubscribe. Hey, Phil, the nephew is already sitting by the computer trying to buy tickets for Concord. Happy Friday, everyone.
Here's the thing. I'm okay if you unsubscribe as long as you're also subscribed on a bunch of other like emails and accounts so that you're still subscribed to the channel.
Are we going to do a road trip series? I don't know.
I don't know where the money's going to come
man.
for that one.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Timcast Incorporated.
Let's hold off on the rest. Let's come back after the fact. All right. Time to talk about producer David Mamet, who was doing a Q&A, and he talked about the garbage tier relation that is Hollywood and woke DEI initiatives. It's, you know, that's you put all the buzzwords in one term. Called them, what was the term he said? They were fascist and totalitarian?
He said DEI is garbage. It's fascist totalitarianism. That was his statement.
Yeah.
He has a particular gripe about inclusion rules in the AMPTP, has implemented for films to be considered for Oscar nominations.
That's a big one. I will push back on him a little bit that Hollywood, as woke as they are, made sure to implement those rules in a way that pretty much anyone can be nominated for an award with a bunch of caveats, meaning that most of the way you reach those goals is behind the scenes.
They're very permissive.
Yes, they are.
It sounds like it's pretty extreme. It's pretty easy to fit those categories, but regardless, it is ridiculous that they were implemented in the first place.
Any amount of like, putting handcuffs on creatives is always bad for the creative process, and it doesn't take a genius to figure that out.
So he said, I can't give you a stupid effing statue unless you have 7% of this, 8% of that. It's intrusive. The film industry has little business improving everybody's racial understanding, as does the fire department.
He's right.
And some people thought this might be hypocritical because he has a daughter who is a relatively well-known actress in Hollywood. And you would probably point to that and say, well-known producer, well-known actress daughter, sounds like nepotism is involved here. So you're trying to fight against the inclusion rules, but you gave your daughter an unfair advantage.
He says that she wasn't. Look, she did appear in 5 episodes of The Unit, which is a show he created, which is a very good show.
And that was pretty early on when she started acting.
But she has a lot of credits to her name, so how much of that came from being a famous person's daughter? I imagine it does.
It gets you in the door.
Even if she's talented.
Yeah, but like to think that isn't there, to think that there is ever going to be a world where that isn't going to happen is ridiculous. Like to get worked up about nepotism is to get worked up about the fact that human beings prefer their family and friends, people they know.
Yeah.
Like that's just the way that it's going to be. Like yeah, I mean, it is good to be like, hey, look, we should have people that can actually do this stuff. But once you've decided, okay, we know that this person can do the stuff, like they can perform the job adequately for our liking, and they know someone, it's like that's
but the ridiculous thing that really irks me is when they deny that it exists.
Of course, it's ridiculous.
When they deny that preference exists. He said that he doesn't think his kids have benefited from his accomplishments in the industry, and says they learned from being on set,
That's
earning them a spot. He said they earned it by merit. In regard to his daughter, they have not benefited from any type of privilege. Nobody ever gave my kids a job because of who they're related to.
That's so awful.
Okay, so
to say.
somehow to me, follow my logic here, I'm okay with the parents being a bit naive about this. Not so much the kids.
Is it naive or is it just you're lying?
Head in the sand.
Because it makes you look
head in the
dumb.
sand or you're lying. Okay. I feel like it's more on the kids to be like, look, I benefited from this, but I've worked my ass off.
I guess.
The dad's just like, he's coping. He's coping hard.
Right. He's like, I love my daughter. She's the best actress.
She's the
the best actress.
There's a $20 one there from that
Stanzatastic said, why does Billy sound like they smoked themselves R-worded? Phil, not sure if I have missed it or not, but is the new song out? Also, Borax, so good.
Not out yet.
No, not yet. There will be more information very, very, very soon. Just a couple days until you hear more information. So
I do want to point out that this guy he has made his bones in Hollywood. He knows of which he speaks. He was the writer of Wag the Dog, which is the movie about to cover up a presidential sex scandal, they fabricate a war. He also did Glenn Ross, Ronin, a lot of very, very successful things. So he's He's done well in Hollywood. He's also one of those people who used to be a liberal and became an open conservative in the early 2000s. And that's been a big part of why he says that he doesn't get the work that he used to.
Yeah, but when someone says the words woke brigade.
Yes.
There's a part of me that just.
I'm with you.
Like, I just reel at that. Like, I just can't. I know that he's just an old guy who has certain, libertarian principles.
Speaks about the greatness that is Hayek in soul.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't, But, he's making valid points that need to be heard by people who are in the Hollywood bubble, so that's fine.
His daughter was in Madam Web, so she was that going for her.
And she was one of the worst characters.
If I remember correctly, she was the tech lady in Madam Web.
The villain's sidekick lady who does the tech work, whatever. In this topic, we did want to mention the doctor who is playing the doctor in the Russell Davies led show. He's back on the show now, so people are paying attention again.
Well, they were excited for
They were excited, and then they realized this is actually a terrible idea. So you pronounce his name Ncuti Gatwa. Yeah. His name is Ncuti Gatwa. He is black and he is gay, and he wants everyone to know that.
And he wants you to know that if you don't like Doctor Who, it's because he is black. It's
because you're homophobic and racist.
You're a bad person.
Yeah.
You can deduce, as you most likely have, that when these things start coming out, it is preemptive strike to make sure that when it does fail or the audience does shrink and the show does badly, they have that excuse firmly in place so they can start writing the hit piece articles before it even
got the
gets
scapegoat. So here he says in a Variety interview, there's so much white mediocrity that gets celebrated, and black people have to be absolutely flawless to get half of that anyway. We're trained to be like, if I'm not exceptional, I won't be loved. I think I'm just learning now, you're allowed to be loved. You don't have to be excellent or aspire to the term black excellence.
By the way,
what the hell?
He did that quote wrong. The proper version of that quote is when Joe Morton delivers those lines as Olivia Pope's dad on Scandal, where he says, we have to be twice as good to earn half as much. But he does it with the Joe Morton swagger that is far superior and more awesome.
It's the same idiotic point that makes no sense in the real world. Because the reality of Hollywood is you're going to be given opportunities for being black and gay.
In the chat, somebody says Torchwood is better and that show is gay AF. Yeah, they're right. Torchwood, in my opinion, is the better show and way more promiscuous and way more focused on sexuality. But it was also made in like 2006, so it had less of the modern stink that Hollywood has on it.
Modern stink. He said, I'm slowly training myself out of that and being like, no shit, you deserve love just for existing. And that has taught me to be a lot more loving as well, in a weird way.
Other than your family, that is inherently not true. You're not owed love from anyone other than your family.
I mean, yeah, I mean, your parents kind of have to.
Yeah, but everybody else.
Literally celebrate me for just me breathing.
Yes.
The way you can just say it so brazenly, with no second guessing what you're saying at all, it's just the narcissism is crazy off the charts. He continued also saying that he's making history by being the first openly queer black actor to take on the role of the Doctor. He said, do you know what? It makes perfect sense to me. I feel like anyone that has a problem with someone who's not a straight white man playing this character, you're not really truly a fan of the show. You haven't been watching because the show is about regeneration and the Doctor is an alien. Why would they only choose to be this sort of person? There weren't exactly the straightest men in the past.
He's referring to the actual actors.
Right.
Correct.
He's saying, you're talking about someone who has a lightness and joy about him that to me chimes with queer energy.
Again,
it's very rarely driving the story vehemently, but you will see moments exploring it. We're not delivering a neutered Doctor.
Here's the thing. What they fail to realize is what he's actually describing is restraint. People love the restraint. They love the idea of going towards something, but not whole hog investing in some minor aspect of a character that doesn't drive the story, which is why they talk about something being coded. Right? You can do that. And when it's done well, now, if you have a good editor, you have a good producer who can reel a director or a storyteller back in and say, look, you're getting off topic. You're moving away from what the core focus of this story is. We need to pull it back. It's not the point of this. Hollywood used to be very good at that, at touching on those ideas, but not going at it entirely. But that's not even the point here, because the character is already very much one thing, and you don't just change the character.
From the sound of it, this guy wants to push the queer part of his role as hard as possible, and it's probably the showrunners, the scriptwriters that might be like holding him back. He's clearly leading with the fact that he's black and gay, not with, I love this show, I love this franchise, I loved the crew, anything like that. He's only talking about himself. And how he should be celebrated for this role just because he exists and is black and gay. And it's like, is there anything else? Like, is there any other selling point
Captain
involved?
Jack Harkness is basically a pansexual, and everybody loved Harkness.
Is that an explicit part of the character?
That he'll basically, he'll have sex with anything, man, woman, alien, doesn't matter to him. And that's fine. And the people love that axis of the game. And John Barrowman, who played him, is just a more magnanimous guy in his interviews and stuff like that. He's the one who actually had that thing where he got caught like pulling his stuff out on set. He's like, it was just being funny, and nothing ever happened to him. And nobody cared because it worked with the character. But what they're trying to do here is shoehorn something else into a character where it previously didn't exist. And of course, people are pushing back.
There's
got
a
$20 from Sonoran Paradise Farm. He said, Phil, you guys going to be at Phoenix on August 8th? Was thinking of going with my 6-year-old. She loves Mudvayne, maybe more than me.
If that's where the tour is on August 8th, yes, I will be on it. I'll be on the whole tour. So,
yeah.
Yes.
Also, Brett, you sent me a story about David Harewood. He recently said that he openly endorses white people doing blackface for acting roles.
Well, no, he's talking more about theater.
Well,
okay?
he said they should be able to black up for roles. I don't know what that
I love
means.
the idea of somebody doing a skit where they're like, I'm not doing blackface. I'm blacking
just
up.
blacking up. There's a difference.
Look, I love this because this is in the same vein of what Billie D. Williams was saying last week. You were gone when we did this topic.
Yeah, but
and
I did see him say that.
Billie D. Williams went on Bill Maher, and you just watch Billie D. Williams because he's older and he's just loose and he's free and he's like, oh yeah, do it. It's great. And Bill Maher's like literally clenching, like, you can't do that. I get what you're saying, but you can't do that.
Even though he's super high.
Yes, and it was hilarious, and he's kind of in that same vein.
We're at a strange point in the profession where people go, oh, you can't play that role because you're not disabled, or you can't play that because you're not really from there. The name of the game is acting. Yes, we've got to be representative, but I do think we have to be careful. That even extends to Othello in blackface. I say, if you want to black up, have at it, man. It better be effing good, or else you're going to get laughed off the stage, but knock yourself out. Anybody should be able to do anything.
He pointed out that he actually got some crap back in the day because he starred in an all-black version of Romeo and Juliet that was on, I don't know if it's on Broadway, but on the stage, and that it was a big deal back then. But now things have changed, times have changed, and I'm just...
Maybe Tom Holland should do blackface when he plays Romeo.
And then she can do whiteface.
She would do whiteface like Crackhead Barney. Actually, I want Crackhead Barney to replace her as Juliet.
Would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be iconic.
They should do that. Like, they should lean into the absurdity to end the... I just saw this thing of like, I don't remember, it was... Somebody in the chat remind me if it was the NBA or if it was the NFL where they did the racial draft back in like 2000 or something like that. And it was absurd and hilarious, and you just wouldn't be able to make those types of segments now because...
Wait, where was this?
Let's see if I can pull it up here.
Are you talking about a skit?
It was, I'll pull it up here. Oh!
Thank you!
Okay, so this is really funny because Aaron Rodgers made all black versus all white bowl draft So I guess Aaron Rodgers can get away with that because he's kind of right-wing coded, as they say.
There's queer coded and then there's right-wing coded.
It was the Chappelle skit, right? Back in the day? The racial draft?
Literally no idea.
Yeah. It was a Chappelle skit. Anyways, but they're like, you can't do that type of humor now. They won't allow that.
I was just watching 30 Rock for the first time, and I just realized like this was on TV at the same time as The Office, and the same time as Arrested Development, and the same time as like go down the list of like all these comedy shows that were actually still good. And I was just like, how did it happen? Like, how is that time in America even real?
30 Rock.
Because it feels like it's just nothing is ever going to be funny again.
No cell phone in your pocket.
Everything is going to be weighed down forever with postmodernist, deconstructionist ideology.
I really think that people are going to get beyond that, get past that. I'm not saying that it's going to happen soon, but I do think that like the whole like postmodernist kind of perspective, like people are going to, I feel like people have started to reject that as they realize as the word gets spread around, what actually like they're kind of doing, because people really have a hard time living their lives if they don't have meaning. And postmodernism leads to a life that has no meaning because you have no point of reference for anything.
I feel like as long as the internet is in your pocket and there's at least one naysayer that can start one outright, outcry with a bunch of anime avatars and no followers that Hollywood still takes as like evidence that they shouldn't do something, and then Variety writes an article about the backlash about some skit. I don't think that
I'm black-pilled
changes.
on it. I just think like comedy's dead. Like it's over.
Like you watch 30 Rock, it's amazing. 30 Rock is amazing.
I don't even know if it's amazing. I don't even think people thought it was like amazing at the time because the baseline for entertainment at the time was just a higher standard.
Yeah,
people weren't like, oh, this is like groundbreaking. Like it was just a good show, and that's just what you expected to see.
Yeah, you genuinely like in the 90s and stuff.
Bizarre.
You didn't watch stuff expecting it to be bad.
Right.
Like people weren't like, well, I guess we're gonna see what kind of garbage this is, and I expect it to be, bad, and I expect to dislike it. That was not a thing.
Like
that was not a thing at all.
You watch 30 Rock now, and there is just a a looseness to the comedy that you wouldn't be able to do now because they would tiptoe around the stereotypes.
You can't
stereotypes sell so much of what made stuff funny because there's just a grain of truth in all of it, and you're not allowed to point to that grain of truth and laugh at it.
Let's continue these super chats. Sovereign Citizen asked, am I being detained? Yes, you have to keep watching the show. Adolfo Batista said Muppets Most Wanted was good.
Yes, I recommend everybody go watch Kermit the Frog stuck in the Russian gulag. It's hilarious as Tina Fey yells at him in a fake Russian accent.
Dave Collins said, Phil, congrats on the tour. It sounds awesome. When is the new All That Remains music going to be released? Everyone is just going to ask this
soon,
today.
Very, very soon.
Guys, if you didn't catch that, you should ask that. You should super chat that question.
Ask more.
Ask
him again. I think he might change his answer.
We'd like to get
Greg Duvier said, okay, my favorite failed musician. The recording is done. The tour is announced. When will I get my new music that I know will be worth the wait?
Very, very soon there will be new music.
He's going to give you a different answer next time, so you should answer.
Guys, the more you ask, the sooner the music is coming out. I mean, swear.
That's technically
he
true.
told us this off air. He's actually changing the release date to... He's bringing it sooner and sooner every time that someone asks.
If we get... Yeah, he's going to give us... if you ask 5 more times, he's going to give you a different answer.
You're actually going to get early access to the new music if you ask again. Yeah. Corey Anderson said, Phil, I guessed Megadeth and Mudvayne will be there too. Sweet, can't effing wait. This will be amazing.
Let's do 2 more.
Francisco Sanchez Jr. said, a phone that cannot sideload apps is a phone that commies prefer. Proof that half of PCC is a CCP asset. Phil, you're too cool to be a commie.
Well, yes.
I mean, I thought we already knew that I was the CCP in PCC. Thought we already knew that. Shane H. Wilder said, I agree with Mary. I use iPhone because I is big dumb. I also don't upgrade until the phone is about to die. Same.
Yeah, like let's hold off on the rest and we'll come back after the fact. Time to talk about how Sydney Sweeney is a relationship destroying evil genius.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to call her evil, but she kind of is an evil mastermind. Sydney Sweeney was the evil mastermind behind this marketing campaign for her recent rom-com with Glenn Powell, Anyone But You. And they recently did an interview with the New York Times where they confirmed all of this. So if you don't remember, at the time, there were a ton of rumors going around that Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney, despite both of them being in relationships at the time, that they were having an affair with each other as co-stars on set of this rom-com. Because they kept posting all of these videos on social media.
They're looking a little cutesy, and they're touching each other a little bit too much.
They were getting a little bit like up close and personal and hanging all over each other and stuff like that.
There's a $20 one right there.
That Stanzatastic said, forgive me if you already answered this, but I'm having a Billie Eilish moment. When is the new All That Remains music coming out?
Could be any day now.
You will find out more information very soon.
And you know what Sydney Sweeney has mastered? Think to what we were talking about just yesterday about the video of Johnny Depp pushing the phone charger towards Camille Vasquez. It leans into this weird side aspect of internet culture that loves to like read into things. It's kind of the trope where it's like they show you the video, but certain parts are slowed down to emphasize it more.
And then dramatic music.
It really is a masterclass in how to manipulate emotions.
The way he looked
editing.
at her, all of that stuff.
Yes. And they do. There's people that do this in nefarious ways too, where I've seen them like a college professor is asked a question by a girl and in a classroom or something like that, and somebody's recording it, they don't even explain why, and then they slow down like when the college professor looks back at the girl to make it look like he was looking at her for a longer period of time to make him look creepy.
Yeah, it can be deceptive at times, but it turns out the rumors about Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney having an affair with each other were all just a bunch of BS, and Sydney Sweeney was playing into it in order to sell the movie.
Here's this, I'm literally picturing her. She's like, okay, hold this pose. Hold this pose. Smile, Glenn.
And you know, think about it. When was the last time that in Hollywood you could see two hot, in shape, white young people just being in love? That's not really something that is allowed in Hollywood these days.
I mean, it's not something that they really talk about or think about or even really describe.
But then the movie outperformed what anyone guessed it would. It did really well at the box office, and we're like, okay, do it again.
Here's that video. Let's look at the.
That video is exactly what ended Glenn Powell's relationship.
He's a genius. Let's refresh it and see if we can start it over here. There.
If you open the tweet, it might work.
Oh, watch on X. It's gonna end up opening it from.
Yeah, that is the video that ended it all.
His supermodel girlfriend saw that. She's like, I saw where your hand went in her back. We are done.
Exactly. So at the time, Glenn Powell was engaged during the filming of Anyone But You to a supermodel.
Of course.
And as all of these posts were getting circulated, she started to post some shady stuff on her Instagram. She wasn't happy about
this photo too. She's like, hold that pose.
The way that she looks at him
longingly.
The way that she looks at him, right? But yeah, before the movie even came out, Glenn Powell's fiance broke up with him over this. And I think it was over this. It's not confirmed, but it's pretty safe to guess that it was Sydney Sweeney's fault ultimately, although she is still happily engaged to her fiance, who was a producer on the movie. Sydney Sweeney's fiance actually benefited from all of this because he was one of the producers. So here's what Glenn Powell said in this recent interview. The two things that you have to sell a rom-com are fun and chemistry. Sydney and I have a ton of fun together, and we have a ton of effortless chemistry. That's people wanting what's on the screen, off the screen, and sometimes you just have to lean into it a bit, and it worked wonderfully. Sydney is very smart. And
chemistry is a huge part of Hollywood. That's kind of a taboo thing to talk about.
It's lost on them now.
So I remember this story where Stana Katic, who played Beckett in Castle, would talk about how she had to keep coming back for screen tests to do the show, to get the starring role. And like the day she went to like chemistry test with Nathan Fillion. Like, they gave her this outfit to wear, and she said that it looked horrible and she needed to cut the dress shorter. And she basically said, hey, come over here and hold this. And basically, like, ordered him around, and like he loved that, like because her character commanded that same type of energy, and they didn't even really need to do the screen test after that because their natural chemistry before they even did it meant that it worked. And there's stuff like that in Hollywood all the time.
Sydney Sweeney said, I was on every call. I was in text group chats. I was probably keeping everybody over at Sony Marketing and Distribution awake at night because I couldn't stop with ideas. I wanted to make sure that we were actively having a conversation with the audience as we were promoting the film, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who created the entire narrative.
Yep. Think and in the chat, I wanna thank Dustin here for being exactly right. Otherwise, if you go the other direction and you don't get chemistry, Dustin points out you get Amber Heard and Jason Momoa, who might as well be on opposite ends of the ocean in Aquaman because they have exactly zero chemistry.
Hurt a movie.
A lot of movies and shows suffer greatly from actors. Like, a lot of times somebody will point it out to me and then I'll rewatch something. I'm like, oh yeah, they have like no chemistry at all.
Did Johnny Depp and Amber Heard have
I didn't see that
good
movie.
on-screen chemistry? I would be really interested to see. But like Sydney Sweeney, she is the definition of a Gen Z actress with natural sex appeal and not just being beautiful. On the other hand, you have Anne Hathaway, who is notoriously beautiful but sexless.
Look, you go watch The Dark Knight Rises and you see her like get almost there.
And she's so attractive. It's
She's
just
beautiful.
so puzzling. And she is actually marketing her own rom-com right now called The Idea of You.
I forgot about this one. We talked about this one.
She is playing a woman in her 40s who is dating a guy like 20 years younger than her in this one, dating a pop star. And she was in a new interview promoting this rom-com, and she revealed that back in the 2000s, they had gross chemistry tests that were, I guess they were objectifying and sexist. She said, back in the 2000s, and this did happen to me, it was considered normal to ask an actor to make out with other actors to test for chemistry, which is actually the worst way to do it.
Can I ask, what is actually fundamentally different about asking them to do it to see if it will work on camera than actually just asking them to do it on camera?
Wait,
it's
what?
still, they're both part of your job. What makes it, I'm actually asking, if doing it on camera for a movie isn't gross, how is doing this to make sure that you got the right actor for the job gross?
She might have been worried about herpes or something. I don't know. She said, I was told we have 10 guys coming in today in your cast. Aren't you excited to make out with all of them? And I thought, is there something wrong with me?
Perhaps there's another way you can test for chemistry. Like, maybe at this point you're just testing on the mechanics and you're not testing actual chemistry.
10 guys is a lot of guys.
Like,
she
maybe
said,
just find another way to do it other than that type of physical interaction. See how you interact personally.
I wasn't excited. I thought it sounded gross. I was young and terribly aware how easy it was to lose everything by being labeled difficult, so I just pretended I was excited and got on with it. It wasn't a power play. No one was trying to be awful or hurt me. It was just a very different time, and now we know better. But do we know better, or have we just gotten much worse at making and marketing romantic comedies?
You wouldn't say that they know better because the romantic comedies haven't gotten better. They've gotten worse.
Rom-coms died in the meantime that we've all learned better. So maybe we actually didn't learn anything.
It just means that you need a little bit of edge to make something in this realm because the relationship between the sexes is often gray and not so clean cut. The things that make those stories interesting are inherently difficult to tell, stories to tell from a human resources perspective.
Oh, by the way, recently, I think this was just yesterday, The Guardian accidentally posted a tweet about Anne Hathaway, titled it, "Anne Hathaway is a secret gooner and now her reinvention is complete."
Yeah.
7.5 million views. So
Anne
I guess
Hathaway
they win.
is a secret gooner.
That's what they said.
So she and that means that she's so that she's a masturbator.
I think it might be a slang term for like a soccer team fan base.
Arsenal.
Is it Arsenal?
Oh, okay.
Like Arsenal fans are called that? I don't know. Just thought that was funny and I wanted to mention it. But I've also seen a lot of discourse about this couple of co-stars on Bridgerton. Bridgerton has a ton of sex scenes to the point where a lot of people said it's just excessive. But these two co-stars have been teasing like the idea that they're in a relationship, probably to copy the Sydney Sweeney Glenn Powell method. And this one person said these two broke furniture while filming sex scenes.
I can think of a reason why some of the furniture got broke.
Yeah, maybe half of the furniture. Stayed under sheets naked after filming and didn't want to get up. Didn't hear the director yell cut, so they kept going at it in a carriage for longer than necessary. They are actually insane. And you can see these pictures of them. They are clearly trying to sell some kind of image.
All
here.
I read when I hear this is a bunch of executives saying that this is a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Is that the reason why like the chemistry has to be organic? You can't try to sell a PR relationship because it might go wrong.
Yeah.
It presents like a legal liability.
Until 10 years from now when Sydney Sweeney's like, actually, Glenn touched me inappropriately on that set. And
right, who knows? But like are PR relationships, do you think they're all that common?
Yes, I do.
Like more common than not?
I think that 90% of Hollywood is fake behind the scenes too. Just the stuff we hear about how they call TMZ to show up to the.
I don't think the relationships are that much fake. I think that I think what happens is people in Hollywood tend to be around people in Hollywood.
Okay.
So they end up dating people that are.
And it's beneficial that they date each other, but they're around each other anyway.
I don't think that studios would not capitalize on that. But like if someone's, celebrity A and celebrity B get together, both of their management teams and their people and stuff are going to be like, all right, how are we going to handle this? Like that is without a question. But I don't think them getting together is set up by companies so much. Okay. Right? Like everyone thought.
Disagree, Brett?
Everyone thought that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were fake, right?
They might still be.
I mean, it could be, but everyone was kind of saying they would be broken up by now. It was like, oh, blah blah blah, the Super Bowl. Then by April, they'll be blah blah blah. I think that what people are experiencing is just an overdose of cynicism. And again, it's not that the business side of it is ignored, but I think that most of the time it's that, oh, we met, we got along, and we started hanging out a little bit. Hey, we hang out enough that we like each other enough where we think it's okay to go public. So because we're both high profile people, they talk to their management. Management probably gets in touch with the other person's management. They talk about collaborations. I'm sure all this stuff goes down like that, but I don't think that it's just made to, created.
There's like, what did I point out yesterday? That couple from Once Upon a Time met and got married on set, and they're still married to this day.
Fake PR relationship.
Another lady from the show got married to like somebody that she met on another movie like years before.
I'm sure it happens a lot.
Yeah.
Weird how they never date the crew members though.
No, that's actually not true either. There's actually plenty of them that end up dating like cinematographers. I can't list any off the top of my head. Maybe I'll make a list of that. I've seen that. That does happen. Okay. So they do. They're not marrying like the grip or the.
When is Sydney Sweeney gonna date a gaffer?
But
when is that gonna happen?
But marrying a cinematographer, marrying a director, that happens.
I'm talking like the lower paid crew. Not the director of the movie.
It's called below the line for a
below
reason.
the line workers. Yeah. I've never seen that before. I don't think we will either. Yeah. Let's go to Super Chats. 200 Watt Studio said, will Mange Davis be doing films with Kanye?
Only time will tell.
It's definitely in the cards. 20 Justin 1 said, what a poser. She calls herself a fan but hasn't listened to any of Bring Me the Horizon past works.
I think that she specifically said that she was a fan.
Yeah.
So and had listened to the stuff and knew that they were. So
knew they were atheists. I don't think she knew that they had any strong opinions on Christianity. I guess. Dash Fortune said, "Have any of you looked into the new unplugged phone? Everything is encrypted. No personal data is stored to be shared. Designed by ex-CIA."
Yeah, it's so Eric Prince was on the Culture War. And I happened to be fortunate enough to sit in, and we talked about that. We talked about some stuff. One of the things about that phone is you can actually take the battery off. so that it actually has, so you're sure that there's no power going to the phone. So which you can't do that with. I don't think any phone anymore. You used to be able to. Yeah, you used to. That was normal. But nowadays, I don't think you can do it with any of them. It used to be so that way if the battery went bad, because you weren't expecting to replace the phone every month or every year or two, whatever,
Yeah.
So
let's do 2 more.
Doze Woods said, watching a bit behind, Supreme X Oreo cookies were red and smelled and tasted of Play-Doh. Disgusting. My golden wouldn't even touch it. Oh, I said Doze, not Das. I'll say Das.
Das Woods.
Das Woods.
And 1 more.
Shane H. Wilder said, Brett and Mary, I'm sorry for sending the cringe of the day to you with Crackhead Barney. If I had to suffer, so does everyone.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. All right, time to get into it, Mary. The Swifties, they're not all right.
They're honestly, all of them are tortured poets, I think. Ever since Taylor Swift's recent album came out, I think the Swifties have been on code red, fully out in the open with their mental illness. They're not ashamed of it. They're even doing public protests, like full public demonstrations of their loyalty to Taylor Swift.
Fealty.
Yes. I saw them going on a march through the streets in Indonesia, playing her music, trying to promote her album in the streets.
Walking swiftly, as one does.
Walking swiftly, you might say.
Let's take a look at this. She should make a boombox that could be like the official boombox sponsor of these types of events. Are we gonna get copyrighted for this? I think
No,
it's
I don't
not,
think so.
I don't think it's not an actual audio. She's got the male fan base down out there. Did you see that?
The guy in the front, yeah.
whoa.
Like, I don't know how many people were there, but it looks like a lot.
Okay.
And this was captioned, "The joblessness."
Yes.
I must agree. Do you not have anything better to do?
Millie Bobby Brown says, "I'm grabbing my keys."
Ew. But they're also threatening people. They're making threats. A Taylor Swift fan messaged someone privately in order to pay him to take down a tweet counter-signaling Taylor Swift.
Can't actually prove this is real.
These
but
people
in my
are
mind, I'd like to
clinically
believe that it is.
insane. He said how much? They offered $350 or $450 if you write a tweet praising Taylor Swift.
Spelled tweet wrong, but that's okay.
How do I know you have the money? She asked for his PayPal or Cash App. These are real people, and they have real mental issues.
He
And
responded.
I just think that maybe they need to be institutionalized for their own good.
You know, there's something to be said. I think the thing is, like, the most hardened and hardcore fan bases are going to be found online, and you're going to find the most, like, absurd people that don't obviously represent the majority of the fans.
Here's some great advice, though. Don't give your hard-earned money to defend a celebrity online that doesn't know you exist. I'm not even trying to be mean here. That's not healthy. It's the internet. Don't take it too seriously. Save your money and make something of yourself. You don't have to like me, but be smart. This celebrity shit isn't real, dude.
Yeah, you don't need to, like, give your money to celebrities for what they do. Like, go to their movie, like, listen to their music, buy their music, buy their merch. You know, if they're selling something, that's fine. But don't just give them money just cause. Like,
Well, they're like, I remember Paste Magazine put out this bad review of the Tortured Poets department. They had to keep the journalist's name anonymous because the last time that they published a negative review for a Taylor Swift album, the journalist got death threats and their family members got death threats and, like, actionable threats. So they were like, well, we're not going to put a byline on this anymore because we care about the safety of our writers. And you, in a free country with the First Amendment, should be allowed to say negative things about not just, like, Taylor Swift as a person, but literally negative things about her artistic output without insane, unhinged fans of hers coming after you.
well, okay, so the fact that people are doing things in the real world is bad, right? You never take action because of people's bad opinions, specifically about pop stars. Okay?
Or really ever
at all, but of the things that are terrible, that are a terrible reason to take an action in the real world, pop stars is really, really bad.
And most shockingly, one Swiftie said, being a Taylor Swift fan in 2024 feels like being a Jew in 1938.
This was satire. This account was trolling. It was.
Satire coming from maybe a place of martyrdom
I
complex.
read through some of the responses. It was very clearly, if not engagement farming, it was trolling for the sake of it. And this post has since been removed by that person, or maybe the account was deleted. I don't know.
There is a community note saying, unlike many Jewish people in 1938, Taylor Swift fans are not facing imprisonment or execution for being fans of Taylor Swift, but they should. I just added that part, and it was a total joke. I did not mean that.
Yes.
But I think they're starting to develop a weird complex. And like, no shade to Alex Clark, fan of the show and friend of the show. Of course, we love her. She's very passionate about Taylor Swift and her love of the music and the whole fan base culture and everything. She's very knowledgeable about it. But she's just starting to sound like I can't even understand what you're saying because you're so in this like niche. You're like, I don't even know what you're saying anymore because you're such a stan.
I guess
like,
maybe I'm a little bit envious that like there's stuff that I love, but there's nothing that I love, especially no celebrity or person that I will ever love enough to be that like devoted to. This
is the realm of young people, like people that are adults. Once you're like over 30, definitely behavior like this is just like that is a red, like real red flags. Like adults don't behave like this. This is the purview of teenagers.
I mean, would you say that Taylor Swift has more teenagers or adult, like millennial fans?
Millennial fans.
What would you say if you had to guess?
She's such a big star. I don't know that. I mean, more doesn't really matter. Because
I don't know.
Like if like I imagine like maybe it's 50-50 or 60-40 or whatever, but it's like her fan base is so vast that if there's crazy millennials or crazy Gen Z, they're still crazy. There's enough of them where the crazy ones get together and be like, oh.
We got a $20 from Crispy Leg Transport LLC. He said, I had to pull over to make this text about Doctor Who. If the Doctor isn't having sex, then he's just a flamboyant weirdo flying through space. Flying through
space and time.
Space and time.
Here's the thing, though. Back in the day, you could being flamboyant didn't just mean you were gay.
Isn't it okay to just be a flamboyant weirdo who flies through space and time?
That's fine. Like
I feel like that's like what the Doctor is supposed to be, and like we used to have a culture where a straight man could be well groomed, well dressed, a little light in the loafers, you might say, and he's still perfectly heterosexual.
It's so funny because I watch old shows that like where they have the episodes where they have like really bigoted characters that use just these old phrases, and it's light in
the loafers should make a comeback.
It's wild to hear.
By the way, Phil, do you have any takes on the new Taylor Swift album as a Swiftie yourself?
I have not listened to it. I have not.
Okay, fake Swiftie, I guess.
I have not.
Fake fan.
I've been very, very busy with.
Got stuff to do.
Yeah, there's another record that's being put together that I've been focused on.
One that's more important and better.
To me personally.
I saw the TMZ followed Matty Healy.
I saw that.
on the sidewalk, and they asked him what he thought of the album. I'm talking 30 songs that are all written about this guy, and he says, God. I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm sure it's great. Bye.
That's the right response.
Taylor Swift must be screaming right now.
She's like, bro, I'm busy. I got stuff to do.
Like she is, she must be having a whole new mentee be right now, because imagine writing 30 songs about a man who doesn't care enough to even listen to the album.
There's something histrionic about all this.
Oh yeah.
And over the top, where in a world where, especially if you're a Swiftie, if you're a millennial woman, things are just so good for you right now, for the average American, that you have to create these types of problems elsewhere and attach to things that aren't really connected to you in the same way. I can appreciate finding something that you're passionate about. I guess to me, maybe it's just me, but it's weird when it's about a specific celebrity.
A celebrity should not be your cause in life.
Yeah. Like, that's just me personally.
I meant it when I called Taylor Swift the Kim Jong-un of the music industry. She might be like the Hitler of the music industry because Swifties are like the Swiftie youth.
Yeah.
It's like the Hitler youth, but the Swiftie youth.
Like,
and she's commanding them in all directions.
I mean, I don't know how much like Taylor actually is in contact with her fans and stuff.
Well, no, nobody's making a comment on her, like.
But the thing is, like, so that if people are saying, oh, she's the, she's the Swiftler,
Swiftler.
Yeah, if she's Swiftler.
She's literally
then
Swiftler.
She's actually the one that's got to be giving the orders.
That's what they need to call it, the Swiftler youth.
The Swiftler
and she
youth.
is commanding them to go harass her ex-boyfriends.
But that's the thing. I imagine that these people are doing this without her. Like, I don't think that she's sending messages through her fan club for people to do stuff.
But the thing is she creates Easter eggs. That means that her fans do lean into that anyways, even if it's not actually there.
Of course.
She also liked these Instagram posts that were making fun of her ex-boyfriends literally a week ago.
Oh, was
so
she?
I mean, I think in a way she kind of doesn't mind if they go attack them because she doesn't like these men.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad.
Swiftler.
She's literally Adolf Swiftler.
Album number 9.
Yeah.
I don't endorse anybody going after any girls that they think a song that I wrote's about. That's a bad
Her
idea.
next album will be called My Struggle.
But none of your fans would ever do that, right? Your fans have jobs.
I don't. Yeah, they have. They're employed. I think they're employed.
Well, I mean, Swift's fans are employed too. They are.
They have either fake laptop jobs or their children.
Look again. We're broad brushing here, and we're talking about only the most ridiculous of fans who get that involved.
I'm just not in the mood to cut them slack right now.
Okay.
Let's finish up these super chats.
Swiftler.
Corey Anderson said 3-year Letterman is more entertaining on X.
He's great. He is awesome.
Shane H. Wilder said all Eilish's statements show is that mainstream entertainment is filled with perverse, faithless narcissists who worship at the altar of themselves.
Very true about the part about the altar of themselves. When it comes to the overt sexual stuff, especially with pop stars, I really feel like it's this industry where they're like, okay, gotta go through my hyperly sexualized phase now. It's so predictable, it borders on pointless.
And then when you get old, it's going to be real embarrassing.
No, because
you don't want to end up like Madonna.
Now it's Madonna, and she's like,
nobody thinks Madonna is cool.
But they lean into it still. She's not going to get away from it. It's like, is this all there is? Isn't there more? Like, Madonna should have a phase where she's like, I'm in my knitting era. I'm knitting a lot.
She should be in her knitting and baking cookies era.
Yes.
I mean, look. Speaking of knitting and baking cookies, there is no debate that Martha Stewart is hotter at the same age than Madonna.
Actually, true.
That is.
But I never really thought of it like that.
And way more of an icon, as far as I'm concerned.
She's way prettier.
True. I'm still waiting for the docudrama about Martha Stewart's prison stint.
I would watch it.
I want to see it.
She's legitimately pretty at 65, 70. She
was like a model when she was younger.
It's not like, we're just saying this to be nice because she's an older woman. Like, she's legitimate. She put up a thirst trap. I'm like, man, I'm a little parched, Martha.
Phil went like this. Phil went like
man.
Phil is thirsting for Martha Stewart. Okay.
I'll tell you what, I thought about a sip.
Got it.
I thought about a sip, man. I thought about a sip.
My shirt collar wasn't already loose, I would have loosened it a little bit. I do want to point out to what you said. It kind of reminds me of something. You asked about whether I think that the relationships are fake. Maybe not the relationships. I do find a lot of the friendships painfully fake.
Oh, I'm sure that's far more common.
When it's really funny. I rewatched the Lonely Island music video, one of the Lonely Island music videos, and it has like them in a nightclub with P. Diddy. And of course, do I think Andy Samberg and P. Diddy hang out on a regular basis? No.
I hope not.
I don't know if I buy
Andy Samberg in some bad situations.
I don't know if I buy that Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg are the best of friends.
No.
Okay, that's what I mean when I talk about. Or there was one the other day where it was like Usher's son grabbed his phone and sent a message to. Like, I read these things like to some female celebrity, like sending her a message. I read these things, or the Kardashians and Ice Spice with Northwest and Ice Spice, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Is Northwest old enough to hang out with
That's
Ice Spice
the
now?
point.
No.
It's all very
most definitely
fake
not.
And
I don't know how
PR
old
related.
She's like 10. She's like 11 or 10 or 11.
North
Yeah.
is a girl? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And she was like on a play date with a 23-year-old woman.
Sure.
Kind of weird.
They're doing that 10-year-old.
What do they talk about?
What do they have in common? Shane H. Wilder said, next one was from Corey Anderson. Taking care of oneself is healthy and normal. Everyone does it and should keep it to themselves.
Yeah.
Disagree, but moving on.
Just keep it to yourself.
Whether or not you do anything sexual, I don't want to talk about it with you
Yep.
or hear it in the media. Lee Harris said, first time super chatter, love the show, trying to help this innocent, extremely loving kitty. Anyone who can help support his surgery, please assist. GoFundMe at Help Gannon Live.
Thank you. At Help Gannon Live.
Okay. Well, prayers for the kitten. Steve G8 said, more commie credits for my capitalist friends.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shane H. Wilder said, it has nothing to do with the current doctor. I gave up after Capaldi and all of the retconning. The sonic screwdriver can open wood doors. Dumbasses.
A lot of people gave up after Capaldi, it felt like. At least that's what I seem a lot of the sentiment on.
I watched like 2 episodes of Capaldi and I was like, nah, I'm a dip.
I'm good.
I'll pass on that. The Last of My Kind said, hey Phil, want to laugh your arse off and look up the fat electrician Marine Corps birthday. Everybody drink more water.
The fat electrician is absolutely awesome. I highly recommend his YouTube channel. He does great military history stuff, but it's always like, it's funny when he tells the story. So he tells funny stories and they're great. You should definitely follow him and subscribe. The Fat Electrician on YouTube.
I'm confused because this is American money, but he said arse.
Yeah, I don't know. Weirdos.
Corey Anderson said, but Mary, how is it blasphemy?
LOL.
The Bring Me the Horizon thing?
No, because yesterday they kept going on about, but Mary, how is it blasphemy?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I just thought it was like common knowledge that would be blasphemous, but apparently not. Shane H. Wilder said, when it comes to the new music, Phil is the dad with the kids in the back of the car shouting, are we there yet? Are we there yet?
I tell you what, it's music to my ears. I love to hear it. I wish that I could have released music like 6 weeks ago, so I'm not complaining at all. Not one bit.
Sovereign Citizen said, you pronounced my name wrong. I'm a free person. I apologize. Corey Anderson said, Phil, can you ask Dave to add a Baltimore or DC show? Richmond is far. Is there a song called Dog Sex Robots?
I saw Andy Leiterman say any robot is a sex robot.
If you're brave enough.
Yeah.
For women. And gay men.
So there's no Baltimore or DC?
There's probably not a show in the actual area, so they're probably within a couple hours. But unfortunately, I don't think that there will be any added shows. The shows that are on the list are the shows that are going to be there. So I'm sorry, guys.
That sucks because the closest things to here are
hours,
always Baltimore and DC.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yep.
Rhaegar Targaryen said, my friend told me that in that weird genie movie, 3,000 Years of Longing, Idris Elba and Tilda Swinton had like negative integers of chemistry.
Yeah, like at that point, you're just casting because it's like, look, he's a fantastic actor. She's a fantastic actress. But guess what? Chemistry matters.
If they're good enough actors, wouldn't you say it doesn't matter? Like, if you're good enough at what you do, you should be able to simulate chemistry.
Intangible most of the time. There are some where they say like they hated each other on set and they never
but that's the chemistry right there. The fact that they hate each other.
Yeah, so that might actually be better. Right? But, or even, like I mentioned Castle, but like as the show went on, they ended up not getting along. And like by season 8, they were like finding excuses to like keep them apart and stuff like that. That happens, Like you work that much with someone every day, you're either going to grow really, really close or you're going to not like each other after a period of time.
The Last of My Kind said, Sydney Sweeney is modern-day Salma Hayek in that she's beautiful. She's got sex appeal with effortlessly. All she needs is to get cast in Desperado.
Yeah. Salma Hayek is another one of those who has that type of sex appeal, who can pull it off without even trying.
Too bad she's married to some weirdo who sells, like, statues of naked children with like genitalia for faces.
Weird.
I also didn't think so. If anybody watched Homeland, I also didn't feel like Claire Danes and Damian Lewis had all that much chemistry, but her character is such a mess, it doesn't really matter. She's so manic that it doesn't actually play much of a role.
Mm-hmm. Are there some actors you think just cannot play someone in love, or like someone who like even has the capacity?
It's probably going to become more common nowadays as society becomes more narcissistic. It's like, am I supposed to buy that this Gen Z adult actually loves another human being? Like I looked at when we watched the trailer for The Crow, I didn't feel like I saw, like, granted, I guess we didn't see a whole lot, but like FKA Twigs and Skarsgård, like, do they have great chemistry? We're gonna have to wait and see. Yeah. Like, if it's really good, what they should be doing is, instead of trailers, they should be showing you like a 1-minute clip interaction of them that really sells that they loved each other, because that's such an important part of that film, of that storytelling. Mm-hmm. His desire for revenge is born out of his love for her.
Mm-hmm. Fourth 1000 said Jessica Alba's husband was the director's assistant, but not the assistant director. So there's a big difference.
Well, director's assistant is even lower than
there's a big difference.
Assistant director.
Rhaegar Targaryen said, I've seen enough of this madness to predict that Taylor Swift will be president one day. Enjoy the waning days of the Republic.
I mean, I can't wait for her to write pop songs about foreign leaders she doesn't like rather than boyfriends, so that would be dope.
That would be amazing.
She's like what it's like to like be on Air Force One.
Instead of the State of the Union, she just drops a new record, and that they play.
It's called State Secrets.
They play the album at the State of the Union address. They say it's just the record.
A song, a music video.
No, just a whole new record. That's the State of the Union. It's the whole record. You know.
Shane H. Wilder said, these extreme Swifties are unhinged. Alice Cooper told a story once of 2 young fans bringing him a dead animal, saying they sacrificed it for him. Alice was like, you know I'm a Christian, right?
Well, not to bring up Wayne's World again,
what?
But we're not worthy. We're not worthy. We're scum. Come on.
It was a good moment.
Miliwake. It's Algonquin for the good land.
Wodenshot said, what pen are you turning, Brett? Pilot G2 Chad?
Bic Atlantis.
Does it matter?
Yes, it does. I go out of my way to buy these pens.
Really?
Yes.
I like the Inkjoy ones. Does that make me...
You're an Inkjoy girly.
Is that an Inkjoy girly?
Yeah.
The little niche internet community for Inkjoy.
You know there's whole channels dedicated to stuff like that. I follow this channel called Cities by Diana, which is this weird anti-capitalist, anti-modern roadway channel that makes fun of... It's a fever dream, and it's amazing, and makes fun of cities for their expansive roadways because they're bad for the environment.
Okay.
It's amazing. It's satire, and it's some of the best.
It's satire.
She's very clearly like a leftist, but it's still amazing because she portrays all of it as if it's good, but what she's actually doing is criticizing it, and it's fantastic.
Rhaegar Targaryen said Taylor Swifties being compared to a certain 1930s popular German countercultural group was not on my bingo card. Well,
she's always been considered like kind of
Hitler adjacent.
Yeah, like she's always been considered like right-wing coded, I guess, because she was Christian,
right.
and she came from the country scene and blah blah blah. So like there's always been a little bit of like, oh, Taylor Swift,
blonde, blue eyes.
Yeah,
everyone thought that she was some kind of neo-Nazi idol.
She wasn't speaking out against the politically and stuff the way that everyone is expected to in like 2013 or 2014, 15, 16, 17. There was like, it took her a long time before she said anything, and so people were just like, oh, she must be a Nazi or
people
whatever.
Don't remember that. Like it's like they totally memory hold that era, I guess, of our culture where everyone thought Taylor Swift was some kind of racist neo-Nazi.
Yep, just because she didn't want to chime in on politics.
Yeah. Brett, what's going on, buddy?
I was just looking at the
You're looking
at a train. Do you think walkable cities are un-American? Come crank your hog in Nashville, Tennessee. Being one of the largest American cities without a light rail system of any kind.
I don't know why Nashville and crank your hog is...
While its bus system has fallen off, Nashville's highways went to Mogwarts and completely cut downtown.
Our bass player Matt Dice lives in Nashville.
Nashville's status as the lane core it girl didn't come without a fight. In 2018, a scheme funded by Big Transit would have emasculated Nashville with 26 miles of light rail and 25 miles of bus rapid transit. It was put on the ballot, and thankfully the residents of this fine city were so fossil fuel-pilled that in a grassroots effort led by Americans for Prosperity, they struck this proposal down with 63% of the vote in opposition. No visit to Nashville is complete without seeing the Grand Ole Opry. With its sweeping views of the scenic 8-lane Briley Parkway, the Opry has hosted some of the greatest country music acts in the USA. But that's not what we're here for. The Opry is the anchor of a larger complex of automotive splendor, with acres of surface parking rivaling Disney World in its majesty. But the Opry isn't the only place for parking enthusiasts.
Okay, every video is my favorite thing on earth.
You love this.
It's amazing.
Also, the voice is AI, right?
I don't know. Like her voice, because she does her own videos as well, where she talks about. She's absolutely hilarious.
Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. In this business, the baddest bitch always wins, because real Americans just don't quit. My bestie rides shotgun. She loves global warming and eating wood chips and mulch for breakfast. Holding up the rear end with the tunes is my daughter, Deborah Jr., parentheses Taylor's version, a 34-year-old teenager / quote-unquote influencer who refuses to get a real fucking job. Since her daddy stopped paying child support, we lost the house, so it's just the three of us and Big Hoss versus the world. You see, my mama always said I'd never make it out of Miller Grove, but we sure showed her. This time our travels took us all the way to the second greatest country in North America, Old Mexico. Moving an entire construction site from Yuma to Mexicali with no escort may not be the sexiest ride in the trucking game, but somebody has to do it. La Migra wasn't so kind to me when I got to the border, but where city slickers give up, country girls make do. Driving by, I could hear people shouting, "Pinche puta," out their cars as I passed them up. I think that's Spanish for great job, but my Google Translate ain't working today. I just wish Deborah Jr. would quit her whining and learn the tricks of the trade from her mama bear. But these entitled millennials refuse to grow up and stop being cringe. That girl needs to be a bit more like Bestie. She's so skibbity I almost forget she can't speak English. A true patriot never turns down the opportunity
Brett,
to earn a
I'm
few
worried
pesos.
about you that this is what you watch in your free time. Genuinely.
It's amazing.
Prince Elian said, Gen Xer here. Hey, kiddos, stop hassling Phil about when the new music is coming out. I got your back, Phil.
Thank you.
So, Phil, when is the new music coming out? No answer. Got it. We're all caught up.
All right, we're all caught up.
I think so.
Guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel, please, if you have not done so already. Phil, where can they find you, and when the hell is the new music coming out?
So you can follow me on Twix. I am Phil That Remains. I'm Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains, and you can catch us on tour this summer with Megadeth and Mudvayne on the Destroy Your Enemies tour, starting August 2nd. It goes all the way through until September 28th. Yeah, you can follow the band on Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, Deezer, YouTube, you know, the internet. And don't forget, the left lane is for crime.
Yes, it is.
You should name your next tour the Love Your Enemies tour.
Well, you know, the next tour, if we're headlining it, maybe we'll do that. But
the Left Lane is for Crime tour.
That could be too, yeah.
That'd be good. That's a good album name.
Yes. Guys, you can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. We have one more from High Voltage 75. When her crazy fans issue death threats, does Taylor Swift address it at all? If I were her, I'd be pretty disturbed knowing I had fans like that. I could never handle being a celebrity. I mean, I think the way she sees it is there are so many of them, they're ungovernable, and she really has no control over what they do.
It's not really possible.
But she could refrain from liking all of those Instagram posts about her ex-boyfriends.
Yeah. Shane H. Wilder for $2 says, Brett, what was that so I can avoid it? I don't know why you'd want to avoid it. That's the greatest satire ever. It's fantastic. All of them are about roadways. It's amazing. It's perfect.
What if the whole thing is AI generated and you just don't know?
There's other videos of her where she's actually on screen.
As long as we're sure it's like actually a person behind the account.
Even if it's AI, I don't give a crap. It's hilarious.
Okay.
It's awesome. It's perfect. Guys, you should go follow that account.
I don't trust any AI.
Oh, God, yeah, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. It's the cringiest line I've ever heard in a movie. That was in desperate need of a rewrite. Guys, if you would like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you would prefer to listen rather than watch. If you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook, and not TikTok because we were banned and they're going to be banned at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we'll be back.
Wait, one more thing. I thought I should mention that tomorrow we have special guests from Merkel Media. Tony Merkel is coming back, and he's coming with Joel Thomas, and they're going to be talking about their new documentary, Sasquatch and the Missing Man.
Guys, we will be back to talk with them tomorrow.
Bye.
Info about new music on Monday.
Bye.
Bye, guys.